Flight's ready.
We're finally here. A season-long journey, 7.5 months in the making, culminates this weekend at the 2019 Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. A journey for many that's led some to victory and others to bitter defeat. Kevin Jones in Idlewild, Paul Macbeth at Maple Hill. This season was full of memories. While most make their way homes for the off-season, a select few have been chosen to compete here at the Hornets Nest in Charlotte, North Carolina. Players will play up to 4 rounds this weekend on the recently renovated Hornets Nest, where Charlotte Disc Golf Club has turned it into 8,000 plus feet of terror. Checking in at a par 63 for the MPO and 65 for the FPO. 48 of the world's best will test their skills this weekend.
I know last year I was really trying to qualify and I didn't, so I kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. So I'm looking to do well. I like the course. I think it sets up pretty well for me. So yeah, I'm excited.
As far as playing goes, this is just kind of a do or die tournament because, I mean, I have 2 buys, and it's top 4 out of 16 at that point. So you pretty much just have to go out here and put together a really solid round if you want to move on to the finals and play on Sunday.
I don't really get nervous, so it's more of just fun for me, and I'm excited to do it. I mean, last event of the year, I get to be on camera. It's pretty cool.
I definitely feel like I'm playing more against my competitors. I definitely feel where every other tournament I'm playing against the course, I feel like I'm kind of seeing what everyone else is doing a little bit more, just because, you know, I think it's, for women, it's top 4 scores are going above, so it's definitely like, okay, she messed up, here's my chance.
Gone are the days of win your card to advance. Now, it's just straight up score to get you into the next round.
And I like that better than the first 2 rounds last year being the best 8 scores, and then you had to win your card. I didn't like that because you could be on a card with 2 or 3 other people that shoot, let's say 10, 9, 8 under, and then there's another card that shot 4 under was the best, and the 4 under would go on past them.
To me, regardless of what's at stake or who I'm with or what the scenario is, I'm just going to try to show up and do the best I can do.
Every player has a narrative. They came from a different state, from a different country, different childhood, different upbringing, but every single player here has one goal, a title. Who will claim it? We don't know. But you can watch it live, here at the 2019 Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. It's Friday morning. I'm Valarie Jenkins with my expert commentator throughout the season, Nate Doss. What do we have going on this weekend? It's not a typical tournament. Give us the rundown.
Yeah, if you're just waking up with us here in the morning and figuring out what's going on, yeah, we have the Tour Championship here. These are the people that throughout the entire season earned their way into this tournament. It's sort of a per round event. So we have 4 rounds for the men and 3 rounds for the women. We're going to start out with the ladies here on the first tee. There's 12 women playing today during this round, and only 4 of them will advance to tomorrow's round, which will be the semifinals for the ladies. So we'll get into the men as well. Overall, it's great. It's been a great season, and we're looking forward to this tour championship. Should be a lot of fun. Definitely a different format for our players.
And we are down at Hornets Nest Park down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we are in the woods. So today we're going to see a lot of technical shots, a lot of really long holes, a lot of par 4s. For the women, this course plays as a par 65. For the men, it plays as a 63. There's a lot of different tees, a lot of different baskets. So we are in for quite a show. And I think this really sets up really well for a battle. This, you're going to have to struggle and you're going to have to find your way back into the fairway, but you're going to fight if you want to win this championship.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think we are ready to head to that first tee, and you're going to get a look at those woods right away.
Yep, here we go.
This is North Carolina at its finest.
We're live.
Here we are. Hole 1. It's a par 3. Starts off 288 feet. And those aren't discs hitting trees right just yet. Those are high fives from our lead card.
10 a.m. feature card tee time of the 2019 Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. Up first from Round Rock, Texas, representing Innova Champion Discs. Please welcome Miss Lisa Fajkus.
And get used to that, folks, because we're going to be seeing a lot of tree kicks
Emporia, Kansas,
throughout the day.
Representing Dynamic Discs. Everybody put your hands together for Miss Paige Bjerkaas.
I feel like it's 2 female players that we haven't seen a lot of on the lead card in the last couple of Disc Golf Pro Tours, but it's nice to see that they're both back.
Well, not only are they back, but that's sort of going to be the theme of today, because the players that are playing today are the players that were lower in the rankings. So we're going to definitely see some different
Grass
names.
Valley, California, representing Innova Champion Discs, Miss Jessica Weese. Last on the card, but certainly not least, from West Bend, Wisconsin, representing Discraft, Miss Hailey King.
And we have seen a good amount of Hailey in the last couple of tournaments from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. She did just play at the Hall of Fame Classic as well. It's nice to see Hailey trying to get into those top 4 spots, and a very nice throw from the Wisconsinite. Park job. We're going to throw it to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
We're going to throw it to Terry.
Disc golf guy along Madison Walker. And Madison, we just watched our FPO card tee off. What are some of your initial thoughts about this morning?
Well, I mean, we start immediately with the tight fairway shots, as you can see, and it's going to be like that all day long. So we'll watch some ladies throw some very, very technical shots, and hopefully it stays right down the middle of the fairway all day.
And technical is an official term here at the Pro Tour Championships. There's 2 storylines that I'm already thinking about as we're watching this card tee off. First of all, seeing our world champion, Paige Bjerkaas, throwing putters in the woods. We saw how that worked at Smugs a few years ago. We know she's really comfortable with doing so. Will that give her an advantage here out at this course?
I think it will, and she's been doing a lot of field work. I know she has been a little bit nervous and having a little bit of a weird mental game. She's a little bit burnt out at the end of the season, but she's been putting in the time, so I'm excited to watch her do what she does best today.
And along with that mental game, we also know that she's going to be getting married next weekend, so that's currently been weighing on her.
No big deal.
Yeah, she's got some things going on.
Just planning a wedding.
The other quick story before we get back to the action, Hailey King withdrew last weekend, so I think we're going to have to watch how her shoulder's doing, how she's feeling. Did you have any conversation with her this morning about that?
Yeah, she said it does still pinch every time she throws, especially on the high power shots, and this is a long course, so I think we might see her dealing with it today, but she has her head on straight. I talked to her this morning, and she's feeling really confident, and she loves the course. So.
All right, well, I think you're going to love the course as well. We're going to get back to the action. Back to you guys, Nate and Val. All right, pause.
That was the best kind of break that we could get. Thank you to Terry and Madison for being on the course and giving us those little bit of insight. I do remember seeing Hailey's Instagram post about getting injured during the tournament last weekend, and we'll see how that plays out for her. It's never great to try and fight through an injury, so hopefully she stays smart and doesn't push it too hard. And here's the first look at a birdie from Paige Bjerkaas.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, so we're gonna see Paige here. A reminder for everybody at home: if you want to go out onto the website, you can look at the brackets. You go to the dgpt.com, and you'll be able to look at the brackets as they stand. The group we're seeing right now are the players that were 5th through 8th on the yearly rankings for the points from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We also have 8 other players playing as well. So head over to UDisc Live and check that out. So but the top 4 scores from this round will advance to play tomorrow against the top 4 players that will bring in the top 4 players from the point standings. And there's the birdie from Hailey King. What a nice start, especially with that injury. That's certainly a good feeling. But this is a long, tough course, and we'll see if Hailey's able to withstand.
And so hole 1 kind of starts you off a little bit easy, but we are going to head over to hole 2's preview. And here we go. This is an exciting hole, island hole. It's a par 3, 267 feet, but you can see what the challenge is here. You got to get it across the water. And then it gets really technical, as it should, with the guardian trees. It's just a straight shot across. So it's going to be up to the players whether they're choosing to go for a putter or going for the mid-range to make sure they reach it. But it's just one of those holes that you could reach any day if it was just flat out in a field. But bring in the water, bring in the out of bounds, and you can see right there, a lot of out of bounds on this one. If players do go out of bounds off of the tee pad, there is a drop zone on the island, as we can see on the far left-hand side of that island. It's just 65 feet from there. So you do get to advance to the island. You don't have to continue to throw from the tee pad, which I think is a good break if you do happen to land in the water.
Yeah, fairly big island, really. I mean, size-wise, it's big, but of course, this is sort of the theme for today. Now, there's a few holes that are open, but the theme for this course is that there's trees, and of course, there's the 2 guardian trees trying to get onto that island. But yeah, there's the first round. Now, everybody remember, everything's going to reset after every single round, and I think the mindset of the players has to be. I think in this round for the ladies, only 4 make it. So you got to come out thinking, I got to go low, because you got 12 players only vying for 4 spots. Now, on the men's side, we have 16 players vying for 8 spots. So I think there's a little bit of a different mentality there. Also, as a reminder to everybody at home, all tiebreakers are dealt with by tour points. So if you were the lower seed and you end up tied with somebody, or you were the higher seed and end up tied with somebody who was lower, that higher seed gets to move on and continue to play. So that really shows you how important the entire tour was. And I got to tell you, I'm excited because we've had 2 straight weekends of incredible disc golf. And with this interesting format, I think it's going to be a real strong finish to this year's season.
Yeah, this is great. And we can see the men are already through more than halfway of the course. And we see MJ, Michael Johansson. This is his kind of course. He's in his home state, his home course. He loves those technical woods. So it's kind of no doubt to see him at the top of the leaderboard there with 4 down, tied with Zach Melton.
Yeah, so Zach, a left-handed player, and of course, Michael Joe, Mr. North Carolina. And, you know, really for MJ, this is just another event. I mean, this is just another tour, you know, not even tour, just playing a weekend.
Yeah,
I mean,
just playing a local event here.
And I think MJ is going to have a good advantage here at this event, as well as Jeremy Colling, who we will not see until this afternoon when we get into the quarterfinals for the men. But he is also a Charlotte native and plays here quite frequently. There's Hailey. Able to get it inbounds.
And nice and low. And I think that was the key there. She's able to reach the island, but not nick off of a tree with enough, you know, if she had a little bit more power and a little bit more height, it might be a little bit more scary for her.
Now we have to mention too, there is a hole-in-one bounty on this hole, $1,000 for a hole-in-one here on hole number 2. So that's pretty exciting as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like this is an absolutely reachable hole for all of the FPO division as well as the men. I mean, it's only 330 feet from their tee, just straight back behind. So I want to see players start running this.
Yeah, it's so interesting, the whole hole-in-one thing, especially for players of this caliber on both the men and the women's side. You're not really running at hole-in-ones a whole lot. So it's one of those things that, yeah, you know. Oh, and that's been just yanked over, and that's in the water. So that will be an OB there for Jessica Weese, and she's going to proceed to the drop zone.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
What do you think, flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple one. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is a sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
It's great.
We are back with Jessica Weese's upshot in the air. She chose a sidearm from the drop zone, 65 feet. And there, she did have a little room past and beyond the basket, but she was running for that one. And we no hole-in-ones for this group, and that was a bounty put up by the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Bring a little bit more excitement into the championship this weekend.
Yeah, well, it was nice to get a good look at that drop zone. Of course, some trees in the way, so nothing easy about it. 65 feet, just a jump putt really for most players. And Jessica decided to go with that sidearm, maybe trying to take a little bit of a run. She's left herself with a lengthy bogey putt. This is birdie putt for Bjerkaas. And, Terry mentioned her play at Smugs last year at the World Championship, as she was the victor there, and she became the world champion. I last night, me and you going over the course, you mentioned remembering a lot of putters and a lot of mid-ranges off these tees, and then drivers on the second shot. There's a lot of tough angles. There's a lot of very tight fairways, and if you get left off the fairway, left or right off the fairway, you're looking at just pitching back into the middle.
That's right. And as much as, and just off the left side for Jessica, just as much as you want to throw a mid-range or a putter off the tee to kind of place yourself, these holes are still 400 and 500 feet in the woods. So it was kind of like you're playing the holes opposite when you're getting into the woods and those longer holes. So I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about that as we move forward. Here's Lisa off the band for her birdie putt. And they also mentioned that Paige Bjerkaas is planning for her wedding. And this might actually, there's a lot of things going on in her mind, but this might actually be the calm point. All she has to focus on is disc golf right now, not the wedding colors, not the flowers. Oh, and the last to putt for birdie, Hailey just spits out of the right-hand side. That held on to a lot of chain, but unfortunately didn't catch. There you go. Paige is tapping in for her par. Be a bunch of pars on this one, and we've got Jessica Weese here with her bogey.
Oh, no, this is for double bogey, actually, because of that penalty. But yeah, I was just thinking about, somebody like Hailey with that injury. She definitely needs to get off on a hot start. And I think the playing well will make the injury hurt less, slightly. I'm not going to say that it's going to completely go away, but there's certainly that feeling that, if you have that injury and you start playing well, you can adrenaline will get you through.
We're going to head over to hole 3, and here we go. Par 4, 551 feet. This one is definitely one of those placement shots. Starts off with a mid-range or putter landing in about that zone would be perfect. And then it takes you to your second shot, extreme dogleg to the right-hand side. Got that one last big tree to pass, but as long as you can get enough power, you could scoot uphill a little bit and give yourself a look at birdie. But this is just so tight and technical, so every shot has to be precise.
It's such a severe right-hand turn. I mean, you could see it on the map right there, 551 feet. And this is sort of, this course, Hornet's Nest, right? Charlotte's Web. There's all types of different names and versions of the course and different ways you could play it. Now, the course has taken a huge redesign because of things that the Charlotte Parks have done and certain things that are out of the control of the Charlotte Disc Golf Club. By the way, we do have to just throw a big, huge thanks out to the Charlotte Disc Golf Club for what they've been able to do here. I think it was just about 5-6 weeks ago that Jeff Spring reached out and Charlotte answered the phone and said, "We're there for you." And so it's really great to be back here. But it's taken so many different redesigns and things, but really those right angles and those hard turns are a thing that is a big part of this course. And so you have to sort of pick your distance, pick what disc you're going to throw to get you to that corner, and then execute from there.
That's right. And such a wooded course like this, it takes a lot of maintenance, and it you're always going to have down branches, and you're going to have to deal with growth every year. So give it a shout out to our Charlotte Disc Golf Club volunteers. Got Adam Durbridge, Andrea Salazar, Andy Garrett, and Andy Martin. Thank you guys for volunteering and helping the Disc Golf Pro Tour come to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to be hearing these volunteer names all weekend long, as we're going to be really giving those volunteers the due that they deserve. Boy, Hailey taking a nice bounce, getting almost to that corner, and you can see there. Well, you can't see there, but anyway, she was able to get to that corner, and she's going to have a decent look up to the basket from this point.
Lisa really taking off a huge chunk trying to get around that corner, but she's going to be on the right-hand side. It'll be interesting to see what kind of shot she'll have from there.
Yeah, it looked like she took a pretty deep bounce into those woods. And sort of just finishing my thought on the Charlotte Disc Golf Club, certainly one of the most premier disc golf clubs in the country, one of the biggest, one of the most organized, and one that has the most courses. Charlotte is a great place. If you're looking for a disc golf vacation, head to Charlotte, the Queen City, the Queen of the South, Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a great place to go play disc golf and to hang out, by the way. A lot of great restaurants and barbecue and craft beer, all the good stuff that you want.
And beautiful bounce from Jessica. She's going to love where that landed. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll catch up with this group in just a minute. And we are back here after that quick commercial break and seeing this player on the screen. Just want to give a shout out to DD Dynamic Disc for being a premier sponsor of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We know that Paige has been sponsored by them and currently resides in Emporia, Kansas. Helps out as an employee and a clear ambassador of the company. Let's see what kind of shot Paige is going for here. It looks like she's going to go for it. There's no layup. She is running for the basket, and that's a beautiful Anheuser shot. And she's just going to have a nice little pitch up to the basket.
Yeah, it took a late kick there back into an opening, and she's going to have to kind of get her way up to the basket from there. And Val, you mentioned that that premier sponsor, Dynamic Disc, but we do have to really, and of course, we got to pay the bills around here, but we will be thanking our premier sponsors all day. But I think one thing we should talk about is that 6 premier sponsors came together to make this event possible. Now, the Tour Championship is one of those types of events that is a culmination of the entire season for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. But Innova Champion Disc, Discraft, Prodigy, DD, Latitude 64, and Westside have all come together to sponsor this event and make it possible for all of you at home to watch it live. And there we go. We see that along with the Charlotte Disc Golf Club and the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's an incredible thing that has happened here, and I do really feel very fortunate that this has come together this way and that we are watching the Tour Championship live.
And it is exciting to watch this type of event live. There's going to be so many changes and switch ups and different groups that we're watching as people continue to advance forward through the bracket. And so, a typical tournament, you're watching the best players all the time, and maybe you might see the same player all throughout every round. But we're going to get the men, we're going to get the women, we're going to see players, maybe even Hailey King. She could take everything down right now, but she's right now fighting her way to advance up the bracket. You can hear the whistles from the spectators. That was a great shot from Hailey. I think it's a great shot at any point when you don't hit a single tree. You got to celebrate.
There definitely is a celebration that happens when you don't hit any trees out here. And, here's another thing, too. You just mentioned, obviously the different format. We're only a few holes in. And there's only 3 groups of ladies here. So we got 12 players. Our furthest card is up on hole 6 at the moment. But, if you get behind early, it can be tough to come back. It really can. But the back 9 of this course is a lot more difficult than the front 9. And so that's one of those things that you just got to stay strong. You got to just stick in it, get those pars, save those pars, and hopefully come the back 9, you can make a little bit of move and jump up that board.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see a lot more when you just look at the distances. There's a lot more reachable holes in the front 9. And then when you get to the back, man, it's technical as ever, but the distances start to grow. And we know that the men are well on their way through the round, and we're going to catch up with our featured card here. And we have Brian Earhart making the featured card. He's a lefty.
Yeah, and Brian is currently at 2 under par, sitting in a tie for 5th place here in this round. So he is inside the top 8, and he's looking to move on to this afternoon's quarterfinal round. The top 8 right now on the men's side: Michael Johansson, Zach Melton, Colin Montgomery, Paul Oman, Philo Brathwaite, Chris Dickerson, our champion from last year, and he's on the tee as we speak, Brian Earhart, and Johnny McRae. Now, Johnny McRae has played 12 holes. He's at 1 under par. Michael Joe, leading, is at 5 under, and he's played 11 holes along with Zach Melton. So these are, this is the one thing I really love about this. These are some names that we know. Of course, we know all these names. These are the top 32 men in the world as far as the Disc Golf Pro Tour is concerned. Look at that shot by Chris. I think they're up on hole 8. That was a beautiful shot there by Chris. And then we're going to come back and see Philo Brathwaite.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it yet, but Chris Dickerson is our tour champion from last year. And again, able to qualify. And so, he's feeling good right now, being in this featured card, playing well.
Yeah, come Sunday afternoon, if one of these guys, one of these 16 from this first round, another beautiful shot there by Philo, skipping it up to the basket. We see one of these 16 in that Sunday afternoon round. That means they will have played at that point 4 rounds over 3 days. And some guys that are in the semifinals, they don't even have to play till tomorrow afternoon. And I remember that in the first year of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, how difficult that was, because these guys are getting to play today, and the guys that aren't playing till tomorrow are just sitting around. Now, you're in Charlotte, so you can go out and play another course, but to stay loose. But man, it's a tough format. It really, really is.
Yeah, and it's mental. It takes so much mental focus too, and so these guys are getting more holes in, more opportunity to get comfortable in the woods. So that is quite an advantage. You might think maybe end of the season though, they might be getting a little tired. So hopefully their endurance is there as well. They're going to get a few more rounds in as they move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But there we go. We've got the hot scores right now, and MJ just continues to go. He's pedal to the metal, 5 down, tied with Zach Melton at 5 down, Colton Montgomery 4 down. So those are good scores. Those are really great scores.
It looks like that top 8's going to round out right around maybe 2 under, 2, 3 under, possibly. We'll see how they play these last few holes. But Andrew and Sam are the guys on the bubble right now, and they're the ones that got to, make a couple of birdies coming down the stretch. And maybe Johnny makes a mistake, or some of these guys that are just a few strokes ahead of him make a mistake and get caught up early. I don't know if I made this super clear to everybody at home, but in each one of these rounds, whether it's the first round, quarterfinals, however many people advance to the next round, and I urge everybody to go take a look at the bracket, it has nothing to do with what group you're in. It's just you take the 16 guys or the 12 women, and the top 4 scores advance. That's one change from the previous Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships that we've had.
Right.
So that's just something to remember as well. It doesn't
and
matter
that
what
simplifies
group.
it.
Yeah, it really does.
I mean, it's kind of a little more challenging when you get to play against the players in your group and you know what their scores are. But right now, you just have to shoot the best round that you can.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of goes back to a tournament mentality of where you just want to compete against the course. That's all that matters. And that's what these players are up against. And we had the scores come in from our featured card of women, and it looked like Hailey King was able to take down a birdie on that hole 3. That's nice. She's got 2 birdies on her scorecard so far. So she's shooting a very nice round, solidifying herself in the lead right now.
Eric, just off the top there, that was for birdie. And now we're going to see last year's Tour champion, Chris Dickerson. He's going to have a birdie putt from this point.
And remember these elevated baskets from the many, many years ago that we were here in Charlotte playing. And the last time was Worlds?
Yeah, it was actually. So that's one thing that we have not mentioned yet. We've mentioned a lot of information, but at this point we haven't mentioned the fact that these players, minus an MJ or a Coling, somebody like that, have not played here. Some of these people have not even played a tournament on this course. Certainly if you're not from the Southeast, you haven't played a tournament here. And the last time a large tournament was held in Charlotte was the 2012 World Championships. I know it seems like a whole long time ago. The 2012 World Championship, where Paul Macbeth came onto the scene as he won his first world title along with Sarah Hokum. And so, yeah, it's great to be back in Charlotte. We got our picture-in-picture. So Earhart able to save his par, and Weese able to execute the drive there on hole 4.
We're going to throw it over to Madison in just a minute.
Hey everybody, we're out here on hole 4 with the Disc Golf Pro Tour quarterfinals. We are following the lead card, and on that card we have Hailey King. I talked to her this morning, and she said, when I asked her what her favorite hole was, she said, the whole course is my favorite. So it's safe to say she's having a good time out here. She's right now leading the field, and I'm excited to watch her play the wooded holes as we move on. It's a chilly morning, but it's starting to warm up. I know Paige Bjerkaas said that her hands were cold on the putting green, and that's something that we haven't really had to deal with much this year. So hopefully we see these ladies warming up and as we go into the rest of the the front 9. Back to the booth.
There we go. Just hearing a little bit from Hokum. Yeah, there's probably some great feelings on playing this course again after a little bit of hiatus, a few years in between there. But yeah, this is her type of course for sure. And another person that loves wooded courses like that. And we see her name at the top of the leaderboard right now, Holly Finley.
Yeah,
She
Yeah,
loves the wooded courses.
Yeah, she
She
said
loves
that. Yeah.
technical courses. Playing at Brewster,
Yep.
she loved that course. She played really well, and she's just got that nice straight game. She's able to lay up on those mid-range shots, those putter shots. She's just got really good accuracy, and it plays really well, especially on a course like this.
Yeah, so 2 Wisconsinites, right? I
Yeah.
think, they both live in Wisconsin. And obviously feeling good, that's one thing. Wisconsin's a very wooded type area. You play a lot of wooded courses, so that definitely fits in. Now, on this front 9, and a couple holes on the back 9 is open. I mean, we see some open air here. And there's something there, Val, right, where you have to bounce back and forth from throwing in the woods to playing in the open. So that's something that these players are going to have to worry about. Now, I do have to mention sort of a little bit of a joke here, I guess, but nah, that's a little serious too. Cold. I mean, it's 55 degrees. I mean, come on now. There's a little humidity in the air, so it probably feels a little colder than it is. But
And they're in the shade.
And
too.
look at that sun, though. I mean, it's just booming sun. Absolutely beautiful fall day here in Charlotte.
This is a great view of what this hole entails. You can see the basket way there in the distance, but this hole is just a little more open, and we can see right here we do have a different basket for the FPO. Playing on the left-hand side, you do have the fence that could come into play. You can see Jessica Weese got hung up on an early tree, so she's got a longer upshot, but then there's the road off to the right. So I think this is the best fairway for this group to be playing.
It's got to sit. Oh, and came inbounds and
that was a very familiar shot.
Yes, it was.
That's about the same spot that Sarah Hokum landed. She was able to make that putt to win a world championship title. So Jessica Weese definitely within her range as well.
You see a little breeze, the trees kind of blowing around just a little bit. So as they get out in the open, it's a little breezy. And yeah, I'll never forget that putt by Sarah Hokum, Val. And
Me neither.
You were right under the basket for your par, and Sarah was able to make that putt for birdie and take you down by 1 stroke.
That was all the difference right there.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
And this hole really sets up really well for a sidearm player. You're able to actually go for the basket using that left-hand side fairway and working your disc back to the right. You see Hailey's on the right-hand side. So she's going to have a more straight up shot, a little bit of a hyzer.
Yeah, she's able to actually go on the right side over the pathway on the right. I couldn't tell, actually. Yeah, it looked as if she was short, not getting back in bounds.
And that's a huge risk.
Yeah,
right
that
there.
is a huge risk. So she took that risky route, and she's going to go OB and essentially have to just rethrow.
And I don't think she can see where it landed. So she's going to, I believe, call a provisional shot just in case.
So those red OB flags all down the right side. She's going to take the exact same shot. She's hit some branches. Oh, and just able to sneak it back in. She's going to get the green flag from our spotter, one of our volunteers here. Boy, she was able to actually get through that branch. I mean, she took a lot of leaves down on that one. Good thing it's fall. The leaves are coming off the tree anyway, so a little bit of fortune there for King.
Man, and she was putting some power behind that, but a little bit of a yank, and then probably her stomach went up into her throat, hoping that she was going to land in bounds this time, and just barely. Can't really see her, but there she is, Lisa Fajkus, throwing her second shot, just a little
pop.
Woo. Little bit of heat on that sidearm. She's going to have an uphill putt to save her par.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know exactly what's going on with Hailey, but I did hear that it was a shoulder. And last year I did have a shoulder problem and I had to pull out actually the memorial. And one of the things about a shoulder is that sometimes, and I think we heard Madison mention this, that she had said that it hurt when she threw. And that's the one thing. You throw and it hurts, then that pain goes away, but you know it's coming on the next shot. And so every time you line up to throw, there's that in your mind, oh my God, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. You feel it. And so I think that's something that Hailey's going to have to deal with. She does a lot of wrapping on her throw. So she's got a lot of movement in the body. It's not, in comparison to Lisa Fajkus, who's a little bit more, all working as one. And so I think that this is going to be a difficult challenge for Hailey.
And that's pretty much the last thing you want to think about, especially when we get into the woods. You don't want to be thinking about that last minute, oh, maybe I'm going to hurt myself, or maybe this is going to hurt my shoulder. So let's hopefully nice smooth throws for Hailey. But this hole is going to hurt her with that OB second shot. I'm feeling like pars. Pars are great out here.
Oh, yeah.
Even this hole, it's pretty much wide open compared to everything else on the course. But a par is solid. Steady golf right now, especially in this first round, is going to be important. Staying out of trouble.
I mean, we say it every time, right? With the ladies, it's pars are good. Pars are a great thing. And I think, of course, we'll always look back and say, well, what was able to advance? And if you shoot par, oh, you know what that is? Roll that Zuka replay. Nice. What a beautiful, great elevation right in the heart. Look at her reaction.
And the follow through.
Yeah, the Jordan jump shot.
Held her arms up there, but wow. What a flight of that putter.
Yeah, that was
beautiful
awesome.
Putt for Lisa.
It's a good feeling for Lisa. She bogeyed the previous hole, so she's gonna be able to pick up a birdie here. Oh, and it's gonna roll. Oh, and she gets saved by the brick there. Paige able to tap in her par.
That was a great upshot from where she was.
It really was. Hailey is going to take a double bogey on this one, a 6 for her. And that's a tap in there for Jessica.
Well, there's a lot of excitement on that hole.
Yeah.
Man, that OB really came into play. And I mean, as great and as solid as Hailey was playing, just like that, double bogey is going to bump her down. Now Holly Finley's in the lead, but Hailey's still above that advanced line. Right now we have Holly Finley, Paige Bjerkaas, Hailey King, and Vanessa Van Dyken in those top 4 spots. Heading back to our featured card. Wow.
Yeah, what a shot there by Chris. That's the basket of hole 9.
And I'm going to assume that was his drive. That was his second shot he just threw. So he'll be putting for birdie on this par 4. 534 feet.
Yeah, and Johnny McRae playing a little game of ping pong as he had birdied 4 out of the 5 holes and then follows that up with a double bogey. He's now 1 over par. He's outside the top 8. That moves Matt Dollar inside the top 8. Paul Oman inside there as well. Philo is in the top 8. He's 3 under par. He's got a double bogey, but along with 5 other birdies.
And Philo is just distraught after that upshot. I'm not sure if he wanted that to go in or what is going through his mind, but
well,
he's digging deep.
Yeah, Philo, he's got high expectations. And so he's always working for perfection. Mr. Albatross, of course. Oh, and Eric bouncing it just off that front rim. Now, Eric Oakley's at 2 over par for the round. And so that, I don't know exactly what that was for on that one.
That was for his birdie.
Okay.
So he'll have a tap in for his par.
Yeah, he's not out of it at all. Like I said, I think 1, 2, 3 under. Probably 2 under is going to get in at this point. So he's 2 over. He's got to pick up some birdies.
And there's a birdie for Brian Earhart. Really solid play. Just looking at his scorecard right now, nothing but pars and birdies. That's all you ever want to see, really. Maybe an ace. You'd like to see that. But pars and birdies are always the game plan.
Yeah, and originally we had saw that Nico LaCastro was going to be on the featured card here in the first round for the men. And Philo able to tap that one in. We're also seeing the picture-in-picture of the 5th tee for our featured card on the ladies' side. But Nico unable to make the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship as he had some personal things to deal with back in St. Louis. So Brian Earhart gets to move up into this card. Boy, and that shot from Jessica is just perfect. Right down the middle. I absolutely love hole 5. I think there is an OB sort of rock creek down the fairway there. The players have to avoid that, but this was the first hole of the final 9 back at the World Championships in 2012. And it really is just such a fun-looking hole. I'd love to see the disc fly through these big trees. And then there's a very difficult basket. Oh, wow.
And I was just going to say, I feel like this hole is very scary for a thrower like myself. I throw pretty low, and that fence can come into play. And we see right there, Lisa just barely getting it through. Whew. That would be something I would be scared about.
Hailey keeping it inbounds there. You see her, she was frustrated, but I will say that, inbounds is obviously a good thing no matter what. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the fairway of hole 5 as we see Lisa. And of course, she threw through the split rail fence. I don't think she was trying to do that, but she did get through. She's got that little high, and that's going to hit the tree. So she's going to be left with a long third shot into, like I said, a very difficult green.
One might say Lisa's a little up and down on her throws.
Right. She was low off the tee and high off that one.
Get it, Nate? Get
Oh,
it?
I get it.
All right. It's early. I'm warming up.
While we have a second here, we want to shout out to Innova Champion Discs as well as Latitude 64, again, for being premier sponsors of the Tour Championship. Thank you to both of those companies for being a part of this event. Beautiful execution there by Hailey.
Really nice throw. As we can see, the hole just continues to gain elevation as it makes its way to the basket. And so Hailey was able to use every bit of height on that to get the distance. Go a little bit farther. We can see it is a par 4. So Hailey setting herself up really nicely down the fairway.
The basket location is the pond from hole 2 is up to the right. And so there's a levee there. There's a big steep hill that's holding that pond up. And the basket is actually dug into the side of that hill. It's a really kind of tough basket location for getting it close. But if you're below the basket putting up at it, you kind of can really run at it because there's a backstop there.
Yeah, and I think that was a smart play from Paige. She wasn't forcing anything to happen. She did a nice little soft layup into that low point. So her next shot will be up toward the basket. But with the out of bounds road on the left-hand side and the wall up on the right, I think that was really smart placement play for her.
Yeah. And of course, there was the talk about the wedding. Now, I married a disc golfer myself. Did you? But anyways, I remember planning the wedding and playing. And you're right, though. There was a little bit of a reprieve when we got out on the course because there's nothing you can do about it while you're out there playing. You just get to go out and play.
Depending on what day, we might actually share an anniversary.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's true.
What, you forgot?
No, I'm saying well, yes, I forgot.
All right. Well, you got a week, Nate.
Yeah, that's right.
There we can see that was a really nice upshot there from Jessica.
Yeah, just inside the circle there. This is Lisa left back after 2 shots. Like Holly Finley's got a very clean card. She's 1 under leading this. I guess we're calling this the quarterfinal round because the next round will be the semifinal. So this is the quarterfinal round for the ladies. Holly Finley's got 1 birdie and a bunch of pars. Paige Bjerkaas has all pars. And that's what I'm talking about. Ooh, the tree helps her a little bit there. That's going to be a par save opportunity. That was very fortunate, but you can see how difficult it is to keep it on that side hill.
Yeah, the path just beyond. This basket is tucked in a really difficult position. But I think at this point, Lisa had to go for it. She was way back in the fairway there. And so she's a great putter, as we know, but that was a very nice upshot to give her a little bit easier putt on this very tricky basket. Woo, nicely played by Paige. A little scary there, hitting the wall. Nice and safe. Again, par golf is good golf.
Yeah, and one of the things that this event really does tell us is how these players were throughout the season. You know, we never, and Hailey just got that caught up in the branch there, but we didn't even, I don't think we saw Lisa Fajkus more than once or twice on any of our featured cards. I think Paige Bjerkaas we saw a few times. We saw a lot more of Hailey King, I think, than any one of these 3 players. Jessica Weese jumped in there a couple of times, but a lot of the times these players were finishing 5th through 8th, and that's where they are in the standings right now. So again, this just goes to show you how important it is to play well throughout the entire season, because of the fact that you're going to give yourself an advantage going into these rounds, and then if there's a tie, you get the advantage even more, because you're going to break that tiebreaker with the tour points that you have earned.
Names we have seen competing really well throughout the Disc Golf Pro Tour season. They are already qualified into the quarterfinals, and we will see them play tomorrow.
Yes, we will. In the semifinals, along with 4 players from this quarterfinal round. That was a beautiful putt there by Lisa Fajkus uphill, able to save her par. There's Hailey.
Ooh, low but in. But as I was mentioning, in the semifinals already, Sarah Hokum, Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, Rebecca Cox. So the 4 players that advanced today will be competing against them in the semifinal round. And we know how those players play. You got to be up for the challenge. We're going to head over to hole 6 and take a look at this whole preview. Par 3, 321 feet. Again, a little bit more woods here. Definitely very tight and technical on the left-hand side. We do have the road coming in on the right-hand side, but pretty fairly open for the hyzer shot. Mm-hmm. You do have the big guardian trees there, but throwing a nice, easy hyzer will give you a good look at a birdie putt. So I think this is another opportunity that you can give yourself that look at a birdie.
Yeah, and this hole 6 is a classic hole here. If you look at the map there, you can see the ladies have to just tuck into the left. But the men's basket is way on back there, 453 feet, but we'll get to that later. You know, the thing about this hole is there's the most dangerous bench in all of the United States there. I wouldn't sit there if I were you. But see that bench? You just got to avoid that. Rip a big hyzer and tuck it into those woods at the end. It really is a pretty fairway, ultimately.
Yeah, this is a nice shot if you can hit it right. Enough distance and enough height. And Paige Bjerkaas is able just to nail that in, coming in a little early and using that skip. Just got to give a shout out to Central Coast for the flyovers, allowing us to see what the disc sees. On that's a nice shot too. Again, a little early, almost getting hung up by the tree, but there's a second look at a birdie. And a little bit more of a straight release from Lisa. Wow, but that disc worked it. Beautiful skip. She is CTP right now.
Yeah,
that's a little worried on that one, but the nice dirt ground helped her out.
It is really hard packed because of all the tree cover. Oh, and Hailey hit the branch there. Oh, and there's the disc. So she's going to be OB.
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8. See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
A lot of great sponsors on that screenshot there. And again, thank you to our sponsors for the Disc Golf Pro Tour making this happen. And there are our premier sponsors of the Tour Championship. Good recovery from Hailey. And she's looking a little disheveled, knowing that she didn't release that on the right line. And again, a little bit of an injury. She might be thinking about that, not able to hit those lines as accurate as she needs to. But at least she's got a little bit of leeway here in the Open. A lot more holes left. Got to get that accuracy on point.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of women's disc golf this year. Obviously, you've played in a lot, but there's always sort of the opportunity come the end of the round. There's always going to be mistakes made. There's always going to be opportunities to move up. You just got to stay in it. You got to stay in it till the end. You can't lose too many strokes early. And in a format like this, those last 5 holes are going to be key, really. They're key in every round, of course, and we could say that. And, this is just stroke play. And there we go. 2018 world champion Paige Bjerkaas for birdie on the left, and we see Philo Brathwaite on the tee on the right. Got to stay in it on those last 5 holes. I think a couple of birdies or possibly even coming down the stretch with 5 straight pars, not taking any bogeys, could bump you up just enough, just 1 or 2 strokes. And you're going to move right in there for the opportunity to move on.
Jessica just leaning back a little bit after that and not giving it that full extension to the basket, leaving it just an inch too low. Now we have Eric Oakley on the right and Lisa Fajkus on the left, putting for her birdie.
And on that men's side, Colin Montgomery, Monty, the full Monty, he's now 5 under pars, tied with MJ. He's played 12 holes. He's in the lead here in this first round. Chris Dickerson just playing very steady, staying right in there. Brian Earhart steady as well. So I think those guys are pretty much a lock at this point, assuming that they don't make any big mistakes. But right around the bubble vow, Paul Oman, Matt Dollar, Cameron Messerschmidt, and Andrew Marwand.
Here we are on hole 7, par 4, 588. Shout out to Savage Ultimate for sponsoring the entire Disc Golf Pro Tour and every hole 7 that we've had. Look at this hole. I mean, what a beautiful flyby. It's going to be another one of those holes that requires that placement. I think this one you can bite off a little bit more on the drive. But landing on that left-hand side in between the road and that row of trees is going to be the perfect positioning. And then it's all about getting your upshot up there. Looks a little bit more technical, I think, in the map. You can see how tight that fairway is all the way up. But players, I think they have a little bit more room comparative to the rest of the course. But this is a par 4, so placement shots, landing yourself in the fairway and giving yourself an opportunity is the key here on hole 7.
I always remember playing this hole, and just as a right-handed player, everything finishes towards the road.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that makes it the most difficult. So sidearm player like Jessica Weese, a left-handed player, on the men's side with Zach Melton. I mean, they have an advantage here on this hole because they can just fully rip it out there.
Yep. And so here we see the scores from the ladies that are playing. Paige Bjerkaas, she's been playing very steady.
Mm-hmm.
She's at 1 under, virtually no errors yet. Holly Finley, again, hanging in there, pretty tough. We're going to see bouncing up and down. Hailey King and Vanessa Van Dyken kind of fighting for that last spot.
And that just looked like a putter shot. I mean, just how slow it flew. I knew it tickled a little bit of branches up there, but
We can see just the profile of the disc that Lisa's pulling out. That's a driver. She's got, see how tight the woods are there. Exactly right there on the right-hand side.
Ooh, she might have enough of an angle there. It'll be interesting to see where she's at there. But yeah, Paige Bjerkaas, yeah, virtually mistake-free. She's really just been playing a game plan. You can tell she game planned this course. Not only did she game plan it, but seemingly pretty well to this point. This is the only round. This is the only. Whoa, we saw a little flash there. This is the only round that the ladies will play today. Oh, and Jessica, it looked like it was going OB, but caught an angle right there before the edge of the road.
There's that advantage for the sidearm thrower, working her way away from the out-of-bounds line.
Hailey working that turnover beautifully, but it needs to get down now. Oh, and the trees have helped her. Saved by a tree.
She's nice in the middle of the fairway there. And here we are back on hole 7 with our featured card in the quarterfinals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship here at Hornets Nest Park in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the Innova country, must say, and we did see that little screenshot of a $1,000 bounty on the hot round of the weekend. 500 for the women.
I think I made a mistake, but I think it's 1,000 for the women and for the men.
$1,000 for the women and the men.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
That's
if
my
we
bad.
just made a mistake, I think they're going to have to cough up another 1,000.
Oh, they can afford it. They can afford it. Big thanks, though. Seriously. Big thanks to Innova Champion on that. That's pretty cool, because that actually gives a little bit as we come to that final round. Of course, we're going to have an established hot round come Sunday afternoon. And then there's that opportunity to make an extra $1,000 if you're able to shoot not only the best round, which would win you the tournament, but the hot round. That's pretty cool. Oh,
Wow.
what a shot.
That was an incredible shot. From the weight and how high she released that to how unstable the disc was to work that flight off to the left-hand side and weave around those trees. Jessica was surprised herself, but that was beautiful. Nice shot. Just going to have a drop in there for birdie. That's going to be really nice to see on her scorecard. Needs a little help after that double bogey on hole 2. Low ceiling, but a lot of distance to cover Really nice shot there from Hailey with that backhand throw. Especially when you put yourself in that type of position to run for it. It's going to give you that good opportunity at a birdie.
And I think you could, the way that we saw Paige Bjerkaas play this hole, she was like, yeah, this is a par 4. I'm playing short. I'm going to play around the corner. I'm going to avoid that road. I'm going to take my par and move on. You can see right now, pars are a good thing. It looks like we might have a little bit of a battle as we come down towards the end. Of course, we're not even through 9 holes for the entire 12. So long way to go there as well.
And I think an under par round for the women, I think that's going to guarantee your spot.
No, I have
going into the semifinals, especially as we continue on throughout the course. When we get back into the woods, things get a little bit more technical. We do see that battle right now around par. You know, how close to par can you get? How can you squeak your way into that top 4? Oh, and just hate when that happens. Lisa had such a great drive and just leaving it a little too high. We know that Lisa likes these big putts, though, so this should give her a look, but that's not great for the confidence.
Yeah, she's like a lion on those long putts. She's got a little kick on her foot. She's like lining up her prey, and yeah, just a miss execution there. I mean, high to the right, and really the only mistake you don't make is hitting that branch. So she's gonna have now a long par putt.
Wasn't that the name of the Innova putter in that commercial that we just saw?
Yeah.
Nice name drop, Nate.
You got it.
Oh, nice putt. Just catching that last chain on the right-hand side and bringing her back to the basket. Absolutely deserves that Zuka replay.
Yeah, roll it.
Look at that chain. Whoop.
There it is. Yeah. It's a good chain. Good chain on the right side. Strong chain. And there we go. We see Hailey just casually tapping it in.
And so that was a birdie for Hailey. Lisa was able to save her par. And as you said, Paige Bjerkaas was playing this hole for par. She's able to capitalize that par. She's playing it confident. She's laying up, but she's laying up confidently. And there we go. Jessica Weese in the basket for birdie. We're going to throw to commercial. We'll be back on hole 8. And here we are back in the booth and just taking a look at the scores that are coming in. The men are making their way to the last few holes of this first round, the quarterfinals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. What are we looking at, Nate?
Yeah, so we've got 6 holes left for our featured card, which was the last group to tee off. You can see Matt Dollar has played 15 holes. He has just 3 left. And that's the line right there. Matt Dollar, Cameron Messerschmidt. Cameron's got to make a birdie or two. The thing is that Cameron needs to finish ahead of Matt Dollar because Matt Dollar had more tour points for him. So that's the line. 1 under to 2 under right now is the line. Now we really get a look at what this back nine can bring our players. Deep, thick woods. The first guy we saw teeing off there was Brian Earhart. Brian's gone bogey free to this point. He's 4 under par. He's in a tie for third. He's pretty much solidified at this point. Chris Dickerson is also 4 under. He has 5 birdies and 1 bogey. So him and Brian are tied. And now the guy that's really not in it at all, Eric Oakley. Eric's had really a difficult day. Now, he has 6 holes left. He's 3 under, or excuse me, he's 3 over. He needs to shoot 3 to 4 under par to even possibly have a chance, as the line right now is 2 under, and that would only take a couple of extra bogeys. So, unfortunately for Eric, his early part of the round was just not up to the standard that he needed for today. Philo's falling back a little bit. He's bogeyed a hole. He's 2 under par. He's tied with Dollar, which is the line at this point.
And that's so tough to even say. I mean, for Eric Oakley, I mean, to get aggressive and go for birdies, I mean, that's not the game plan on a course like this. I mean, you just have to kind of calm down and be accurate. And as the more accurate you are down the fairway, is going to open up those opportunities for birdie. But just this wooded type of golf is really challenging, especially if you're trying to make things happen. Just a few trees in the fairway there. Looked like Philo was on the right-hand side.
My name is Thomas Ekström. I'm the disc designer for Latitude 64. This is the Keystone. I wanted to design a disc that had minimum fade when putting. I wanted it to be slightly understable for those nose-up approach shots. I'm super proud of the Keystone. It went straight into my own bag, and you should try it as well.
What do you think flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is the sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
That's great.
And we are back with Chris Dickerson after that commercial break. Have to give a shout out again for all the sponsors who have made the Disc Golf Pro Tour possible, as well as our premier sponsors of the Tour Championship. Thank you to Innova, Discraft, Prodigy, Dynamic Disc, Latitude 64, and Westside. That was a nice little pitch out. That's pretty much all you can do from that position. wearing the Masters style caddy outfit. Eric Oakley's caddy is really styling. I think I saw that during the USDGC as well.
Yeah, one thing we saw from Chris just a second ago, we saw him basically just putt it back into the fairway. And during that 2012 Worlds, this was a very common thing, not only for myself, but for a lot of the other players. Sometimes when you try to make it up, when you try to make up a shot here or there, of course it's possible, but there's always a next stand of trees. And so that's something that I think we see from a veteran of these wooded courses with Chris Dickerson. He knew, hey, I just need to get it back in the fairway, and I might take a bogey here, but I'm not going to take a double bogey. And so that's kind of something he's done. He needs to execute a shot now.
Yeah, that's really smart golf. Now he can really take his time. He's got enough footing. He has a line to the basket. Sometimes you just have to sacrifice.
Yeah, we always say on our coverage here, you don't have to follow up a bad shot with a great shot, just a good shot. And so he's put it out in the middle, and now he just needs to throw a good shot. He just needs to get one up near the basket and give himself a opportunity to save his par.
Wow. And what a beautiful shot. He'll have a nice look at a putt there. And good camera work, right?
Yeah, right up over his head.
These fairways are definitely very technical and tight. So there's not a lot of room to get off the fairway to get these shots. But I think that was a shout out to Jamie Thomas, who's behind the camera.
Yeah.
This weekend, we saw him in front of the camera for the USDGC.
The voice of the USDGC.
That was fun. It was nice to sit back and watch.
Yeah.
And
Let
actually
them
be
work
exactly watch them work the show, and that was really fun. And what a show was put on from the players. So
yeah, we'll get into a lot more of that as we go through this tournament. We
really
see
exciting.
Our USDGC champ come tomorrow.
Wow, and yeah,
that was a good shot though by Dickerson, and he is a veteran. He's a veteran of this type of disc golf. He knows what he's doing. He knows to stay calm, to pick his shots, and at the end of the day, it really comes down to execution. You have to execute these wooded holes. You can't. It's not just to blast it out there and see where it lands. It's a execution and staying calm. Now we saw Matt Dollar actually take a bogey here on the UDisc Live, which brought him back into a tie with Cameron Messerschmidt. But again, Cameron has to beat Dollar to get in. Johnny McRae putting on a little bit of a run here. He's got 3 holes left. He's birdied the last 2. He's now even par. So Johnny trying to get in there and make himself a factor here on the men's side to get into the quarterfinals. And Johnny McRae was higher than Matt Dollar and Cameron Messerschmidt. And so if Johnny were to get into a tie with them after this, he would get the spot, that 8th spot.
And it's so interesting right now in the quarterfinal round. The story is who's going to advance, who is riding that cusp, and who's riding that line, and who's going to make it to the next bracket line. And everybody starts from 0 in that next section. So it's not like your typical tournament where you kind of have to recover after the round 1. You get to start over. So it's just about getting above that line and qualifying to the semifinals and making your way to the finals. That's all that really matters. So the scores that are popping off, just as long as they're good enough to advance, you're going to keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's so true. I think the most difficult round for the ladies is this round right now. We have 12 ladies playing, only 4 advance. Now, with the men, all of today, you're going to have 16 guys playing, and 8 of them advance. But come tomorrow, semifinals, you got 16 guys playing, and only 4 advance. So that's I mean, that round's going to be intense to say the least. And there's that line I was talking about. That Cameron Messerschmidt, Johnny McRae, Matt Dollar line is the line at this point. Philo, he's only played 11 holes, so he has a lot of opportunities left here. I think solid play will keep him in it, but it's seemingly looking like it's going to come down to Johnny McRae, Cam Messerschmidt, and Matt Dollar for that last spot to get into this afternoon's round.
And with the tie, who would the advantage go to?
I was just saying that Johnny is ahead of both Cameron and Matt. So, in fact, of the 32 that made it in, Matt Dollar was number 31. Cameron Messerschmidt was number 32.
Wow.
So Cam would have to beat really anybody in this scenario. But Johnny, I believe Johnny was 28. So I'll verify that here in just a second. 26 for Johnny McRae. So he's going to be ahead of those two guys.
And while we have a second here, as Eric Oakley lines up his sidearm pitch out upshot, hoping to get up there. Just got to give a shout out to our Charlotte Disc Golf Club. The list of volunteers that we're going to be thanking this weekend is pretty long, and we have to thank this club for really pulling together in these final weeks to make this course up to that championship level. So I want to give a shout out to Bernie Gotts, Blake Houston, and Bob Scott, some locals here in Charlotte who have put in the time and the hard work. And they're excited that the tour is coming back to Charlotte and playing at Hornets Nest, because this course is championship level. I mean, players that if you come out here and you're playing as a casual, or you're just starting your disc golf career, it's a very challenging course. But then you bring the top pros here, and they're feeling the challenge just as well. The woods kind of levels out the playing field. And what a beautiful course it is, but it has teeth. We see that Eric Oakley is fighting his way down the fairway here, kind of back and forth, left-hand side, right-hand side. And sometimes, when you're playing these courses and you're not on, it's just a struggle the entire way through.
Right. Yeah. I think at this point, Eric could certainly be thinking about what he's going to be doing this weekend. He's enough strokes back. I mean, I'm not making a joke there. That's just the reality of the situation. And Eric will be back next season. He can give it another shot. But the other 3 guys in this group are very much in the thick of it, and I think guys that have a real possibility to make it into this afternoon's round.
Philo's got an outside look here.
Ooh, and it was perfectly on line. He had it just swinging right in and just a little bit low there for Philo. It's going to be a par for Philo. When you're not kidding. The caddy there on the left, he's a big boy. First of all, they got to get a double XL caddy onesie here for him. But yeah, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see that.
Wow, and you can see signature Eric Oakley onesie at that.
Yeah, that's true.
And we are here on hole 12 with this group. We've got some pars being dropped in. It's a pretty technical hole, as we saw, and a lot of challenges with just how tight that fairway is.
So why we were mentioning the whole caddy thing, I think maybe some people at home are, wondering, why do we see some of the players carrying their own bag? You saw James Conrad carrying his own bag at the final round of the USDGC. For me, it was always about what you were most comfortable with. You practice without a caddy. You practice alone. You go the first 2 or 3 rounds without a caddy. I think keeping it consistent is the most important key. So if you start with a caddy, you finish with one. But if you don't, I think you stay without one. I think it's probably the best idea.
So true. And it's routine, really.
Yeah, it's the routine.
You
You're
change
right.
up a routine. Now you got to grab an extra putter because you don't want to bother your caddy.
Right.
Yeah. Stick with the game plan. Stick with the routine, like anything in disc golf.
For sure.
There we go. We've got the leaderboard still. You see those players at the top. They're hanging in strong. Just a couple holes left for a lot of those players. But, 4 under par. That's middle of the pack. We see MJ at the top of the board, 6 under. He's leading with the hot score of the weekend.
Yeah, Michael Joe is locked in at this point. He's got 2 holes to play. I'm not too worried about him. Not too worried really about any of the guys, even all the way to 4 under, including this guy right here, Brian Earhart. It's Philo, Dollar, Messerschmitt, and McRae. And we'll see even if Philo, if Philo could be locked in because he has plenty of holes to play, but also that could be a detriment in that situation as well.
So here we are on hole 13. This is 700. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Brian. This hole is 819 feet.
Yeah, it's a big, long, open fairway. There's this big cut down the woods that the players are going to be playing down right now. And then it finishes to the right into the woods, way, way down there. So Earhart just needs to put himself in good position, and then he's going to have a great left-handed hyzer into this fairway. And he's got one way down there. Nice shot there by Brian.
Wow, and just seeing that drive out of a player on this course, this course just demands so much. There's the big distance shots after kind of restraining yourself on that last hole the entire way down.
Mm-hmm.
Now you kind of get to open up and unleash. At the same time, placement's still key, but you get to unleash a big drive.
Yeah, just, forecasting a little bit. What do we think about a guy like Drew Gibson, who won the Portland Open? What do we think about a guy like our number 1 player, Simon Lizotte? How are they going to handle these courses? These are big throwers that, when they get into the woods, it can be a little bit tough. And we see our spotter marking that right there. So that's an OB. We see Oakley. For Oakley, I think he's just going to have to stay strong, enjoy these last few holes. This is the end of the season. This is one of those things where you are kind of at this point. This has been a long run of events all the way back to the Vibram, basically playing 6 events roughly, or 5 or 6 events in just a 7-8 week span. So it's a long run. It's the end of the season. And he's just got to enjoy it and try to have fun here towards the end.
And it is a long stretch of tournaments to finish out. And then we have Philo. He's in a really great position there. And we are actually going to throw it over to Terry on the course.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome out here to Hornet's Nest, I should say. Everybody's having a great time. And speaking of welcomes, I saw Michael Joe just a few holes ago. He had, of course, a smile on his face, and he said, "Welcome to my neck of the woods." Well, we see that he is on his home course shooting quite well. He's in the lead right now. And imagine this, he's actually carefree, more importantly, out here. Also having a good time, Zach Melton and Calvin Heimberg. We saw Calvin take down the National Tour title last weekend. He's got a bye until tomorrow, and he's out here caddying for Zach, having a really good time as well. His hat says it all. No llama, no drama. So he's enjoying all of the action. Also, not, I'll say, having as much of a good time. Johnny McRae got to this hole 13, and he started counting on his fingers. and he was determining how many holes were left during his round because he was debating if he wanted to take the tape off his finger. He said he has very little touch, and the only thing that's working well for him is his circle 2 putts. He struggled here, but then he went to hole number 14 and he cashed in a circle 2 birdie putt. So maybe his putting is on, but his drives are off. We'll see how that evens out. I know he's fighting for that cash line. And last but not least, Brian Earhart making the most of finding himself in the tournament. Nico LaCastro withdrew yesterday, and that put Brian Earhart into today's tournament. So we're going to see if he can keep making his push. We'll see if we can find him out here tomorrow. Let's get back to the action.
T-Dog, obviously the Johnny McRae thing is huge at this point because Johnny's got 2 holes left and he has a real opportunity depending on what Matt Dollar does. Matt Dollar's sort of fending both Cameron and Johnny off at this point. Matt's picked up another birdie and Matt just has 1 hole to go. So if he's either able to, if he birdies 18, then boy, that could be the swan song for those 2 other guys. But if he picks up a par, Johnny goes birdie. There's an opportunity there for John, but he's a battler. I mean, that's Johnny McRae's thing. He battles hard, as hard as anybody. Now here's an interesting scenario. It looks as if Chris is on the backside of that wall. I don't think that wall is OB. We saw the spotter marking it, but I don't think it's OB. So I think he's just playing where he landed. That's just more to thank Keen for their sponsorship. Big turnover. Such a pretty hole.
It is. It's beautiful to see how that fairway just continues through that just perfect cut in the trees. And just checking the scores of our featured card of women. Lisa Fajkus getting herself back on the par train after a birdie on hole 6. She is tied for second with Paige Bjerkaas. And Jessica Weese right now is holding on to that 4th spot. She is tied with Hailey, so the battle continues. And it's really, again, it's just right around getting up to even. You get yourself under par, you'll be sitting pretty solid. But, with the men, it's almost a 50-50 split. Exactly. 8 players are going to advance out of 16. But for the women, it's less than that. We have 12 players playing, only 4 advance.
Yeah, just 33% there for the ladies. And again, then we're going to go even lower on the semifinals for the men, 25%. There's going to be 16 guys tomorrow playing and only 4 make it in. So the intensity is ratcheting up as we move forward through the weekend. Oh, and Philo took a very fortunate kick. Kicked him right back out into the middle of the fairway. And we heard Terry mention the Brian Earhart thing. Yeah, so Brian gets in because of the Castro pullout, right? And he's in. He's in the top 8 at this point, playing very well. So that's good on Brian for able to take advantage of that. Let's see, Eric.
Whoa.
Big high turnover. Oh, and he took a big kick too. That just goes to show you how he's perfectly in the middle of the fairway and he doesn't execute the next shot as well as he needed to. And then all of a sudden, bam, he's going to be struggling to get himself kind of back up and into it.
Yeah, who knows? Trying to bite off more than he can chew, or if it was just a complete shank.
Right.
We'll see where that shot finishes up, because we do know that it finishes off to the right. So we could still have a little bit of something.
Sure.
Yeah, but we mentioned it is the end of the season here. And we are missing a few of the top players that have placed really well throughout the Disc Golf Pro Tour season. We know that we don't have a Paul Macbeth. We know that Rick Iwasaki, want to send him all the healing vibes. We know he's dealing with some health issues right now. We know Nico LaCastro not able to make it to this event. So there are players that moved up because some players just didn't show up.
Sure. Eagle McMahon not able to make it. A few other names on there as well. Emerson Keith, AJ Risley, Anthony Barilla, Tim Barham, Matt Worm, Seppo Payu. These are all guys that were in the top 32 that weren't able to make it. But with the tour being in this region, this is one of the nice things about the tour all being kind of in the same area. You have the USDGC, the Hall of Fame, now back to Charlotte. We're able to fill in the entire field with quality players. And at this point, Brian Earhart taking advantage of that for sure.
Wow, this is such a beautiful hole. I love the finish of that with those new growth trees kind of just lining that tunnel into the basket, kind of funneling it in there.
Yeah.
And another event that just happened a few weeks back, Women's Nationals, happened in Virginia. So still around that same region. So
Sure.
I'm sure some of these players that we see here in the leaderboard have stuck around a little bit, hung out, and made sure that they made themselves into the Tour Championships. Holly Finley is just shredding through 9 holes, just maintaining that consistent par play.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
one birdie and the rest pars for Holly. So that's pretty awesome. Lisa Fajkus has played well these last couple holes since we left her. She's picked up another birdie. She's at even par. So look at that. Even par is the line right now through almost 9 holes.
Right.
And Hailey King, she's battling a little bit, but
And as you mentioned, as we get into the back 9, they get a little bit longer, a little more stretched out. So par golf is important. We see the difference between Jessica Weese, Hailey King. They're tied for 4th right now. The biggest difference between those two scorecards, Jessica Weese, just solid pars. She's got a bogey. She's got a birdie. Hailey King's kind of been up and down, but still maintaining that over one over for the round. So still playing really solid golf, but it's a little up and down and a little all over the place. She can even that out. She'll be sitting a little bit more comfortable.
So Oakley has taken just a huge kick. In fact, he's in the fairway of the next hole. And so he's going to have to try to pitch it back. And he's got it all the way through there. So nice job there by Eric. He's got it through and to the basket. And that's what it takes. You get off on these the sides of these fairways and just got to chip it up and around that corner. So Johnny has picked up a par. We still don't know what Dollar's done on hole 18. It looks as if he's we haven't seen anything from Dollar on UDisc for hole 18. So we don't know what he's done, but he's at 2 under. Philo right there that we just saw throw. He's at 2 under as well. And then the jump is up to 4 under with Oman, Melton, Earhart, and Dickerson. Montgomery playing very well, actually. Colin, sort of middle of the pack, as far as coming into this event. But he's shooting a good round, 6 under par. And, you heard Terry mention that this is the home course for MJ and how comfortable he seems out here. I mean, can you imagine there's a pressure, but also a comfortableness. And I think a course like this can either hurt or help a guy like MJ, but MJ's got such a great attitude about it all. I think ultimately this is just gonna help him playing here. He feels very comfortable and he's got a great attitude.
For sure. When you mentioned comfortable, I was going to say, well, we all know how MJ is. You've played with him many times. We've seen him out on the tour. He's that comfortable guy in any shot, whether he's playing good or bad. Can't really tell on his face because he's just this casual guy with this very positive attitude the entire way. So he's always pretty comfortable, especially on a wooded course. He can get very comfortable. We have the players now just on the left-hand side. I think the disc is now found.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for Earhart. Brian's got caught up in those woods there. this is really something that the players are dealing with. I mean, you get guys off in the woods, you're sitting there waiting, and it's a mental challenge. You know you've got your next shot, and you're just sitting there waiting. And the one difference between the woods, in North Carolina and maybe in some other places is the underbrush. I mean, the underbrush is just sort of, it's not super thick. Like, it's not the thickest underbrush that you're going to get into, like you might see out in the Midwest in an Ohio or Kansas City, Minnesota, but it's very stringy. And it kind of like gets all over the place, and you get caught up in a lot of stuff. So while you can get to your disc, you might not want to.
Well, we have a second and a nice view looking back in the basket. Thank you to the Professional Disc Golf Association for their support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Thank them for helping out at each event and supporting the live coverage. And we can see in our side camera, Chris Dickerson trying to get comfortable in the brush. It's only about, I'd say, maybe 80 feet from the basket. You just got to make sure you're punching out and allowing yourself to get a putt on this basket. You've made your way now 710 feet, just about 80 feet to go to the basket.
And it is official. Matt Dollar has tapped in for par on hole 18. So he's officially completed his round at 2 under par. Paul Oman has completed his round at 3 under par as he bogeyed the 18th hole. But those guys are now in. Those numbers are official. And so we're going to say that you're going to have to be at least 2 under par to make it into this thing. Cameron Messerschmidt, unfortunately, has finished at 1 under. Now, that doesn't mean he's not in. If Philo blows up, or if Earhart blows up, something like that. Dickerson is having a tough hole here. If these guys take big numbers and move down, Cameron could still move up. But at this point, I don't know. That seems like a tough case.
Right. With so many holes in already, it's tough to really make that move. And especially if you're playing really well, you're going to continue likely to play pretty well to finish off the round. But
yeah, the next hole is the gauntlet hole, the famous gauntlet hole where you got to, there's a mandatory, it's a dead straight shot with woods the entire way. So, that there's still opportunities for mistakes here. It's not like the last 5 or 6 holes are just a bunch of birdies. It's still got to execute as we go through.
so we are seeing these players on the featured men's card as they're wrapping up in the last few holes of the tournament. The women are now halfway through. They are on hole 10. It'll just be 1 round for the women today. But the men, if they do advance, they'll be playing a second round this afternoon, which we will also be covering live. That starts at 3 o'clock Eastern. So come back. We've got the 8 players that are going to advance today in this first round. They're going to continue to play in the second round, joining up with another 8 players who have already pre-qualified for that semifinals.
Quarterfinal. Yeah, so it's the quarterfinals and then the semifinals. Yeah, we
exactly. 4 rounds for the men, 3 rounds for the women. So, I mean, we've got each round is its own tournament, and then each division has their own round. It's hang with us. We are covering it all.
Yeah,
whether I get it right or Nate has to adjust for me. We're here.
I'll make my own adjustment too. For the men, we have hole 14. Which is sort of a dog leg to the left, and then we have the gauntlet hole, which is hole 15. And the Gallon hole is definitely one that big numbers can be taken on, and
Don't hit early.
I'm sure you remember that. So
yes,
we'll see what happens. But there we see we see the final scores. I mean, Johnny McRae at this point is pretty much out of it. I don't see any opportunity that Johnny's going to be able to make it in. Unfortunately, gave it a great effort, even though it sounded like he was dealing with some physical issues there. But Matt Dollar is in at 2 under, and I think Matt is probably, well, I think he is safe at this point.
yes.
The one that really has to worry is Philo Brathwaite and Brian Earhart.
Right.
Those are the guys we
And
gotta worry
Cameron's just waiting for those rounds to come in to see how he finishes up. He's right on that line. One stroke is making all the difference. So
Yeah, one player bumps below him, he's going to jump up in and be in because he's got that final next to him. It's official. So Philo Brathwaite, that's the guy that really has to play strong here. He is on the bubble. 1 or 2 mistakes here, and he could be bounced right out of this thing. Which for a guy like Philo would be, Philo's one of our premier players. I mean, he's,
Right.
He qualified I believe he was the top qualifier of this first round, which means he was in 17th place.
Right.
So, I mean, if he gets bumped out and a guy like Matt Dollar, who was in 31st, position, that shows you how great this format is. And we see Chris there is a dog leg to the left. Here, hole number 14.
And the basket actually sits on a slight slope, and with that kind of just hard pack dirt ground, you can really get a big skip off of this. So hitting their line and speed control. Wow.
Boy, sort of channeling Jeremy Coling. What a shot by Eric Oakley. A sidearm, 419 feet.
In my notes, a hyzer hole.
I mean, it's a dog. It's placed to the left. That is a very Jeremy Coling-esque type shot. I don't know if Big Germ's listening, but that's boy, what a shot there by Eric Oakley. Although Eric's not going to make it, that was still a very impressive shot. Philo getting caught up early. He hit a tree halfway down the fairway. And again, Philo's the one. All the pressure's on Philo, whether he knows it or not. It really is at this point.
Clearly doesn't feel like he's putting a good round together. So he is on that cusp, whether he knows it or not. We are going to throw it to commercial. We'll catch up with all these players in just a minute.
Today, we'll be talking about the Nuke. The Nuke is a wide-rimmed, fast, maximum distance driver. When throwing on a wide-open course with the Nuke, I'm using it to unleash maximum backhand distance potential. Due to its slim profile and wide rim, the Nuke also fits really well in the hand when throwing sidearms. If I'm looking to throw down some boom sauce, I'm going with the Nuke. You can pick one up at discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
Thank you again to all the sponsors of the Disc Golf Pro Tour for allowing us to feature the amazing elite athletes that we have throughout the season, and especially our premier sponsors of the Tour Championship. Without them, we couldn't make the live coverage happen, and we're happy to bring both the men and the women on the feature card. And there we go. We've got our premier sponsors there at the bottom of the screen. Thank you to Innova, Discraft, Prodigy, Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, and Westside Discs. All familiar names, but we can't thank them enough. I mean, these companies continue to give and give and give to help our sport grow. And through video coverage, I know that the sport has grown dramatically throughout the years. So again, thank you to them for their support. And really nice shot there from Philo. He needed that. That was not a good tee shot ending on the left-hand side. This is a birdie hole for this group, and we're going to see a lot of these players running at their birdie putts. So Philo needed to make that upshot happen.
Yeah, all eyes really are on Philo Brathwaite and a little bit on Brian Earhart. And you know whose eyes are on him? Cameron Messerschmidt, because he's the one that could take advantage. If these guys don't play well down the stretch, he could potentially jump on in there. And I think after this hole, we are going to go back to the ladies, and we'll let the men kind of play it out, and we'll keep an eye on Philo's score and Brian as well. And if we do need to come back on 17 and 18 to see these boys finish up, we will do that. But I think after this hole, we're going to head over to the ladies.
That was a short upshot.
Yeah, Brian left himself quite a putt, and Brian has bogeyed, he bogeyed 13. It's a potential bogey here now. And a very difficult hole number 15 coming up next. So, the pressure's ratcheting up on a guy like Brian Earhart, who got in because Nico did not come to the tournament. So we'll see what happens.
We know it's not likely that Brian is even checking the scores or knowing where he's standing. But I'm sure with his kind of little up and down, not really shooting a hot round today, I'm sure he knows he's got to get something going if he wants to continue to play throughout the weekend. And it is interesting to say, this could be just the one round for these players. That doesn't happen very often. We have the best players from the Disc Golf Pro Tour playing this round today and through the weekend. Wow. Roll that Zuka replay. Who cares what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're just jabbering now, but Chris Dickerson's doing work, and look at that. Roll the Zuka replay. Nice putt there by Chris Dickerson as the rich keep getting richer. He's already in at this point. He's 5 down. Oh, and Earhart right off the top. It was an incredible reaction by his caddy at this point.
A lofty putt, and then there is that slight slope just downhill past the basket. So he did get that nice kick off the band, allowing him to stay. But yeah, that was for his par.
A huge putt here for Philo right now. That was for Brian's par, as you said. And boy, the reaction from Brian's caddy was just amazing. Hands on the head. Just so funny. But here's Philo. This is for par as well. Keep him at 2 under. And Philo doing what Philo does, making great putts, as that is really the strong point of Philo's game. And now what an incredible birdie by Eric Oakley. And there we go. Those guys are going to head off over to the 15th. And Val, I think we're going to jump back over to the ladies here, and we're going to see Lisa Fajkus.
Wow, and that's Lisa for her par. We see players in her group. Jessica Weese, she'll be putting for double bogey right here. Paige Bjerkaas putting for bogey. So they're having a little bit of struggles here on hole 10. It is a par 4. It's very technical, but not the time to be running into issues with just 4 spots available. Every hole counts.
Yeah, that double bogey is going to really hurt Jessica Weese at this point, as that'll drop her down to 6th place. Boy, that's not what you want, especially with only, again, 4 players making it through out of the 12 that are playing. Let's take a look here at hole 11, Val.
Here's hole 11, another par 4, 474 feet. To me, this is a sidearm hole. Look at how much this dog legs off to the right. So it starts off with a pretty short shot off of the tee, unless you can really make it around that corner. As you can see, there were a lot of trees on that corner. So even if you did find yourself in a good placement shot, could butt you up next to the tree. So first shot's important, but you kind of just have to deal with where you land and make that second shot happen if you want to advance down the fairway.
Yeah,
So,
just like hole 3, this is a placement shot. And I think you said sidearm. Yeah, if you have a really, really good sidearm, you can definitely work that corner a little bit, but really it's about getting the distance right. So we'll see what our players can do. But that double bogey by Jessica has now knocked her, back into a tie for 5th. Now Hailey King has gone on a stretch of bogeys, right? So she's now bogeyed the last 3 holes. She's 3 over, tied with Jessica Weese. And Missy Gannon, who's up on the fairway of hole 11, she is at 4 over. So the line right now is 2 over. And that is Vanessa Van Dyken, who she's been on the bubble the whole time. We haven't mentioned her name yet. She's been sitting in 5th almost since we came on the air. Hasn't really moved. And so let's see if Vanessa can hang strong towards the end of this round and get up in there. Vanessa's certainly one of the strongest players on tour as well. But here's our leader, actually, Holly Finley.
this is Holly putting for birdie on this hole 11.
She's going to take a par.
I mean, that's pretty incredible to say. That's where Holly's second shot ended up.
Right, yeah.
On this par 4.
We just saw Lisa put it in perfect position. Beautiful shot by Lisa.
Failed to mention the Mando.
Yeah,
on the
don't go over there.
Side.
Don't go to the right.
Yeah. You do not want to be on that right-hand side, fighting through those trees.
And that's a perfect shot there by Bjerkaas as well. It's so tough, Val. We were back, at this course in 2012. I'm trying to this. This is one of the holes that has been on this course for a while. I remember playing this hole, throwing my Z Hawk down to that corner, and then pitching a putter up the hill and trying to get to the pin. But it brings back a lot of fond memories.
Well, I'm glad, because it could bring back the opposite, I'm sure.
Just up ahead on this hole 11, Vanessa has completed hole 11 with a par. So she's going to stay right there at 2 over. Oh, and Jay Weese all the way around that corner. Nice shot by Jessica. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Are you guys looking for a disc that flies pretty straight? I would recommend the Avenger SS. I really like this disc because it's a nice straight fairway driver. What I would recommend for anybody looking for a nice straight drive is a disc that's slightly understable, where you can throw it out at a hyzer flip, let it fly, but it's still gonna come back. If you try and throw anything that's overstable, oh, and not following that drive up very well. Jessica Weese is gonna end up on the left-hand side up there, but allow herself to pitch out to the basket. We know that Paige Bjerkaas is in that just prime spot, but look at all the trees that she still has to contend with down the fairway. She is on that elbow, I'd say, of this hole.
It's an elbow.
Another nice placement shot from Paige.
Sort of a bent elbow. You can see it there.
Yeah, left arm.
Or a really broken right arm, but yeah, it certainly looks like a left arm. And I this course was, to my knowledge, and I could be wrong here. I'm gonna throw out a couple of different names, but we have Stan McDaniel, who was one of the original course designers here, and Stan was always very proud of this course, along with Renaissance in the Charlotte area. Those were the two courses that I can always remember him talking about. And with the redesign, from some of the construction that's gone on, there's been some changes, but still there's a bit of Stan that's still left. And I think this is one of those types of holes that Stan loved to design, these corners where you had to sort of get it down into an area and then play the rest of the hole from there. We also, the Disc Golf Pro Tour did bring in John Houck to take a look at this course, and I know John made some suggestions. And then the execution of all that is done by the Charlotte Disc Golf Club.
And to continue to thank the volunteers for making this course happen. Shout out to Brad Ramsey, Brent Harrelson, Brian Hidella, and Brian Miller. Thank you for your time. And we know that every tournament happens because of the volunteers that are able to just dedicate a little bit of volunteer work to put into these courses and beautify them. And we have the volunteers out there on the course, marking the players' lies, allowing the players just to focus on the shots and not really have to follow it every step of the way. But did you see that picture-in-picture?
I did.
Philo making moves.
Huge putt there by Philo. Boy, that was a birdie putt as well. So, big birdie putt there by Philo Brathwaite.
Especially in this stretch. He needs to make that happen. And it's still
huge.
I mean, that was a massive putt. What are they saying? 60 feet on U-disc. But Philo's still just not really feeling it, just kind of bumbling along. But he is over that cut line right now, and that putt really helped solidify that.
He's now safely over it, but you know who's not? Brian Earhart. Brian has now bogeyed that hole as well. And that's 3 bogeys in a row for Brian. So Brian is not feeling it right now. And now this will be the big question, and maybe we can try to reach out because from what I understood, from what Terry said, it sounded like Brian was the last guy in. But where was his seating? That's the question we need to find out right now, and I'll work on that. But on U-disc, it shows Brian's seating above Cameron Messersmith. So even though they're tied right there, but 1 bogey from Brian, and Cameron's bumped right up in there. So we'll find out here in just a sec about that.
And here we are on hole 11. We see Lisa Fajkus. That really is fun. There's so much action happening in this first round, and it kind of just sets that foundation as we move into the semifinals and the quarterfinals for the men. Lisa sitting in tie for second. That was her putting for her birdie. She's shooting just very steady golf at 1 over. Tied right now with Paige Bjerkaas. They're both sitting in tied for second. And then just off the top of the cage, that was Paige putting for her birdie. She'll have a tap in par. And Hailey King will also be putting for her birdie. She's tied for fifth. Again, it's just they're going to be going just back and forth, up and down over this cutoff line. Vanessa Van Dyken just playing such steady golf. Hailey kind of needs to jump on that bandwagon. Pars, give herself a birdie when she has that opportunity.
Yeah. So I've just done a little bit of research here. Fast fingers on the phone. Brian Earhart was not the last person into the field. He was the last person to get onto our featured card on the men's round. Brian was actually in 21st position coming into the Pro Tour finals. Cameron Messerschmidt was in 32nd. He was able to get in because there was a list of players that weren't in. So Cameron is at the bottom there. He's actually in the 31st position, as Lance Brown was the player to get into the tournament because Nico did not come. So Lance got in basically last night. But at this point, none of that matters. We're talking about Brian Earhart and we're talking about Cameron Messerschmidt. They are now tied. Cameron has officially completed the round, and we'll see what Brian's able to do in these last three.
And Hailey just an inch too high. She'll have a drop in par, but she needed that birdie. She's one stroke back of Vanessa Van Dyken right now. Vanessa sitting in that fourth place spot. And looks like after all that, a lot of tap-in pars here on hole 11. We've got 7 holes to go. Still things are shaking out. Not sure how they're going to finish here for the featured card. We'll take a look at the whole preview in just a minute, but first we're going to throw it over to Madison.
Hey everybody, welcome back out here with the FPO live feature card. Holly Finley is on the second card. You are not able to watch her today, but I was able to go watch her for the back half of the front nine, and she's playing super solid in the middle of the fairway every time. Really great inside in the green as well. She doesn't appear to be changing her game plan at all. She doesn't appear to be playing aggressive, and I think it's going to work out for her so far as I've seen. I've watched the lead card ladies as well, and a common theme out here is that everyone's tired. It's the end of the season. Everyone's a little bit mentally fatigued, and you can see it out here on the green as you just saw a couple short missed putts. People are ready for the season to be over, and I am too. I understand, but they are battling through and trying to have fun out here at the beautiful Hornets Nest, and as the day gets warmer and better. Back to the booth.
And thank you, Madison, for being on the course and giving us that little bit of insight on what the players are feeling. We know Holly is just feeling very confident, and Holly, Innova player. So we got to give a shout out to Innova for being one of our premier sponsors of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, especially this Tour Championship. They're really putting down a lot of money to make this exciting. And we know the hot round for the men and the women, there's a bounty on the line, $500. And we know Holly's got her eye on the prize to advance down the field, but may also have a prize for that hot bounty. Let's head over to hole 12. We know the players are waiting on the tee pad, but maybe we can take a look at the whole preview. Hole 12, it's a par 4, 504 feet. We're in the woods, so it starts off with a very technical shot, long, straight, pretty much just stay in the middle. Veers off to the left just a little bit at the end. So a backhand thrower, you'll have that opportunity for the disc just to kind of fly its natural hyzer flight at the very end. But the most important thing, I think, is just to throw it nice and straight. Don't get off the fairway too much, and you'll set yourself up good for that second shot.
Yeah, this was where we came together with the men when we just a few little bit ago, and so we kind of saw this hole be played by them. The ladies do have a slightly shorter tee pad on this at just 504, but still, nevertheless, we're deep in the thickness of the woods, and there we go. Obviously, you mentioned, or not you, but Madison mentions the idea that it is the end of the season, that these players are tired. That's a real thing. I don't want to, pretend like it's not and like that they shouldn't be tired. But of course, it has been a long season. I mean, just imagine we started all the way back in the last weekend of February in Las Vegas, and we've made our way all the way across the country and around the world. And it's been a great season. But the players have to know there's an energy. I remember getting this energy when I was in Rock Hill and playing at tournaments like the Hall of Fame. There's an energy when you're coming down to the finish line. You get that boost, and there's a lot of money on the line here for these players and some prestige as well, and of course a trophy. So still a whole lot to play for.
Yeah, and this is the time to step up, kind of give it your all in this final tournament of the year. Ooh. We saw that Hailey was able just to pure that shot. Jessica's going to be on the left-hand side there. We're going to throw it to commercial. We'll be back with these players in just a minute.
My name is Thomas Ekström. I'm the disc designer for Latitude 64. This is the keystone. I wanted to design a disc that had minimum fade when putting. I wanted it to be slightly understable for those nose-up approach shots. I'm super proud of the keystone. It went straight into my own bag, and you should try it as well.
Back here with our featured card on hole 12. Here's how Paige Bjerkaas' shot ended up. She's almost at the end of that straight stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Now the fairway starts to arc off to the left-hand side, creating a really difficult angle, I think, for this throw. See how sharp she released that at.
Yeah, hit that big tree on the right. Really not a bad kick. She's going to have a straightaway upshot from that point. This is a par 4, as you see up there on the left. So really no harm, no foul for Paige Bjerkaas. So she's at 1 over par, which is a 3-way tie for that last spot in. And Vanessa Van Dyken has picked up a birdie back or on this hole number 12, but she's in the group just ahead. So, and so did Holly Finley too. So Holly's playing very well. And as you mentioned, she's got that hot score looking. So she's going to be potentially in on the hot score bounty as we come down to Sunday. I think that's going to be something really fun to talk about. What a shot by Lisa. I think that'll be fun to talk about come Sunday. What's the hot round going into it? And is there a hot round shot as they go out of it?
And I'm not sure it would ever happen, but I guess as we make our way down the stretch and as the weekend continues, I mean, you could not be playing the tournament, but still cash. if you held on to that hot score through the weekend.
Sure. You could, in theory, shoot the hot round in the quarters or the first round, miss out in then one of the next couple of rounds and not be in the finals, but they not beat you in the last one, you still pick up some extra cash.
So regardless, shoot the hot round and you'll have a payday. Wow, and Jessica Weese just fighting her way through, able to pop out a little bit of a forehand roller. She'll have a putt, a couple trees in the way there, but Hailey King is in just the perfect spot. Such an incredible drive. See how accurate the second shot is.
Got on the right side. Ooh, just misses that, and that's going to be perfect. Look at that.
Incredible. That'll be a drop-in birdie. A little scared there.
Yeah.
I feel like Hailey's been leaving a lot of those backhand shots a little bit wide to the right, but in a wooded course like this, it's a game of inches. And Hailey was playing on the good side. Plenty of air between the trees.
I just love to see the control. The control that she brought into the pin and not skipping far behind. And Hailey's at 3 over. That's going to move her to 2 over, and that's going to put her just 1 stroke out. And this is what I was talking about when we came on the air. On the men's side, we were able to start to predict a little bit early, like where's the break going to be, who's going to be in, who's going to be out. On the ladies' side, right now, I'm going to go all the way down to Missy Gannon at 4 over par. So that's 1, 2, 4. That's 7 players right now, and we're not. Polly Finley is playing great, and I don't think we need to worry about her for now. But 7 players have a chance to take 3 spots, and anything can happen. A double bogey, a triple bogey, all kinds of things can happen. We know we got the difficult 13th coming up, the difficult 15th coming up. So this is exciting stuff, and this is the big cut for these ladies.
Not really able to make anything happen from that position, just lofting it up there, giving yourself a putt.
Score update quickly over on the men's side. Brian Earhart has followed up those 3 bogeys in a row with a birdie on the 16th hole. He's now moved to 2 under par. He's tied with Matt Dollar, and that's going to put him at this point, based on the tiebreakers, 2 strokes clear of Cameron, because Cameron would have to, in theory, finish ahead of Brian with just 2 holes to play. So the men's side is almost verified at this point. Just a couple more holes, and we'll know that here for sure. But nothing is for sure on that ladies' side, and what a birdie.
And that was huge for Lisa. She was at that point sitting tied for second with both Paige Bjerkaas and Vanessa Van Dyken. But that solidifies her in the second place spot right now. Shooting really solid golf. That put her back to even. Jessica Weese struggling a little bit. She's tied for 7th at +4. As we're mentioning, the cut right now is at 1 over. And we can see those bogeys in those last few holes, hole 10, 11. We're going to head over to hole 13's preview. Now we're on to a par 5, 723 feet. Starts off pretty wide open. You do have that slant off to the right-hand side. And then we work our way into the woods. Another dog leg. Big wide open shot to start. And then it gets technical as we head back into the woods. So again, another placement shot, but it's a par 5. So they have room to set themselves up, placing themselves down the fairway.
Yeah, 723 feet. It's a fairly short par 5. So I would imagine birdies are a very real possibility here. It's essentially the same tee, but it's a shorter basket that we just saw the men sort of struggle with. And so, yeah, it's a gettable birdie here for our players. And we know that the group ahead of them is still on it. And so, yeah, a lot of opportunities here.
Yeah, we know that it is a crush to actually get yourself far enough down that original wide open fairway. It's about 450 feet at least. So it's 2 very accurate long distance shots to get yourself up there.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying just on the last hole. I think Missy Gannon, I think because Lauren is a little bit further ahead, Missy Gannon, I think, still has an opportunity. And again, it kind of depends on what everybody else does here. But yeah, I mean, that's a big putt there by Lisa to get herself to even par, sort of break up that little bit of a tie. But Holly Finley, no bogeys, 2 under par.
Doing great. Still a few more holes left. So yeah, if Missy has a good opportunity with 6 holes left, able to climb her way back hopefully and make herself under par, especially with these longer holes, the par 5s, the par 4s. If you're feeling very accurate and confident in those shots, those placement shots, you can give yourself those look at birdies and start chipping away at the strokes. And Missy Gannon needs to do that right now if she wants to make her way in.
Yeah, I think she needs to chip away 1 or 2, maybe 2 over. I think 2 over is going to get in. Yeah, again, I'm just forecasting here a little bit, just sort of making a guess. I think 2 over gets in. So she's got to pick up a couple of birdies. Now, I had seen in the last camera view, I saw Cameron Messerschmidt had actually came out, and we've seen him caddy for Hailey a bunch throughout the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He's already out there caddying for her, and the guy's in a battle to get in to play this afternoon, although he's done all that he can at this point. I think I saw Paul Oman out there as well. So the guys that have come off the course, they're out watching these ladies play this afternoon, even though their round starts in just a few hours. Their second round for the day.
Exactly. And make sure you clear your schedule. We've got round 2.
Just quit work. I just say it's Friday. Just get out of there.
Yeah, it's Friday. Leave early. We're starting the second round with the men at 3:00 Eastern. So make sure you put that on your schedule. Join us again. We're going to come to you live. And we have now, this is the second card. That was Vanessa Van Dyken. We see her name jumping up and down, managing to stay above that cut line right now. Tied for third with Paige Bjerkaas. Just shooting really, really steady golf. She had 2 bogeys on hole 5 and 7, but then she just capitalized on a birdie. So Vanessa just playing very clean golf. And shout out to Discraft, one of our premier sponsors of the Tour Championship. Able to capitalize on a player like Vanessa Van Dyken for this season. And we know that she's had a little bit of injuries throughout the season. We saw her a lot in the early couple of tournaments. Saw her playing really well, Waco, Memorial. So it's nice to see her again here in the Tour Championships, making her way hopefully to the finals.
Yeah, we did see quite a bit of her early on. She was playing very steady and very solid. And then towards the end of the season, she was not as much of a factor. And it just goes to show you how difficult it is to do what players like Paige Pierce, Sarah Hokum, Katrina Allen have done over years of time. Be very consistent at the top. It takes not only mental preparation, physical preparation, a little bit of luck here and there as you go along. But, it just goes. I think this is a great day because we're getting to see a lot of the players that we don't actually see on our featured card coverage. We're seeing some players that are finishing in the top 15 quite a bit, but we only cover the top couple of cards, unless you become a factor in winning the tournament. So today is just a fun day for live disc golf for a lot of players. What a control shot there.
And looking so smooth.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Not putting a ton of power behind that, but kind of toning it back and focusing on accuracy. And the signature snap as Jessica Weese pops that drive out there. Another nice placement shot. We've got all 4 players off the tee pad. We're going to throw it to commercial. We'll catch up with them in the fairway.
When you order from Dynamic Discs, we do our best from start to finish. First, we receive your order from the website and print out the packing slip detailing the specific items you selected. Then, your order is pulled directly from the shelves, packed in a cardboard box to prevent bending during transit, and quickly on its way to you with free shipping. For every purchase online with Dynamic Discs, you'll receive rewards points so you can save on your next order. We'll work with you to make sure you get the exact disc you're looking for. For anything from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs, head to dynamicdiscs.com.
And back here with Lisa Fajkus. Lisa's sitting really steady. As long as she can continue to play as she's been playing throughout the round, she is going to make herself into the semifinals for tomorrow. And the women are just playing 1 round today. They'll play 1 round tomorrow, and then we've got the finals on Sunday. Men are playing 4 rounds. So they're just finishing up their first round today with the 16, with 8 advancing into the second round, which we mentioned we'll be covering at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And then we've got the semifinals for the men tomorrow. Things start to narrow down and get a little more specific as we move into tomorrow's round. But today it's just about finding those placements for these players and seeing how they're going to stack up in the brackets. Again, it is all about the hot rounds for each of these rounds. It's not about the players in their group. And as these rounds finish up, they'll get to restart in their next round. So you want to have a good, solid play today, but as we narrow in, as the weekend continues, we know the competition is going to get a little bit more fierce. You're going to bring in a little bit more of the top players, and they're going to trickle in as the rounds continue. So these players really need to dial in if they want to make it to the finals on Sunday. Wow, and Paige, a little aggressive on that one.
Yeah, she got around the corner. She's a little on the inside. Maybe it's possible we see that view there. It's possible she's able to chip out and around that corner and still pick up her birdie. Just a little bit too far to the right. But as you were mentioning, as we move forward, things are going to sort of get a little bit more focused. And after this morning's round, we will be covering each individual division in their own right, in their own time frame. So this afternoon, it's the men's quarterfinals. Tomorrow morning, it's the ladies semis. Tomorrow afternoon, it's the men's semis. So, if you're watching at home with us, or if you're watching just a little bit delayed, I guess, on your YouTube DVR, if you want to call it that, you're going to get a ton of disc golf over the weekend, as well as some of these groups covered post-production as well. So you get all your favorite disc golf.
And your favorite disc golfers.
Yeah, right.
These players have earned the spot to be in the Tour Championship this weekend and make themselves into this bracket-style tournament. So it's not, the regular Joe Schmo that happens to be a local around here. No, these are the best players that have really earned the spot throughout the season by playing all the Disc Golf Pro Tour events. So this is the best of the best right here.
Yeah. How do you spell Schmo? How is that,
Well, Joe or Mo Schmo, so I think it's
they're brothers, Joe and Mo Schmo.
CHOE. Schmo. No, there's an M in there too. Hailey cutting it off a little bit too early on her sidearm. That's going to be a really tough angle if she's got anything at all.
We're going to move over to the men on 18. We just, a moment ago, I was able to just catch Brian Earhart ripping his drive. Now, here is some news, though. And this is Philo Brathwaite. He is double bogeyed 17. He's now 1 under par for the round. And there is OB on this 18th hole. He's got it on that right side. He needs the par. And that looks like he's going to be inside the circle. So I think the par is imminent at this point. And boy, Philo made it something to talk about. I mean, double bogeying 17. A bogey on this hole, Cameron would have jumped on in. And so there we see the ladies, and we'll pull up the men here in just a second. But boy, Philo, boy, what a big mistake on 17. Yeah, well, it looks like he's still going to get in, though. You can see right there. 17, it looks like he's within about 25 feet of that basket. He's got two shots to get it in. Now, Val, one of the things I would say about Philo, too, even though he was the top qualifier for this round on the men's side, but he did not play well this morning. But he's now got 18 holes in. So he's competitively played 18 holes here. So going into this afternoon, he's going to have, maybe not some of the best vibes on some of these holes, but also he's had that experience. So we can maybe potentially see Philo shake off some of this bad play and able to play a little bit better this afternoon and get himself into the semifinals.
Exactly. Use a little bit of that experience, but then also shake off those negative thoughts. But yeah, experience does help on these courses, making those adjustments, kind of getting that redemption.
Yeah. And I would say now that the course is for the most part cleared, if I was just getting onto the course, say I was in the quarterfinals, I had my bye, I'd be out playing the front nine right now. I'd be out warming up on the course. This is not a stroke play competition like it would be typically, where you would not be allowed to warm up on the course. But in this case, I'd be playing 9 and just kind of get myself back into a flow. You could see the frustration. This is normal for Philo. He could be shooting 12 under right now, and he's still frustrated because he's not 13 under. But he's got 2 strokes to get himself into the basket. I think this tells us everything, that he probably doesn't know that, because otherwise he'd just lay it up.
And there we go. Philo just making the stamp right there, making it final. He is in with that birdie.
Come on, man. You're in it. You're in it to win it still, Philo. It's all good, brother. You made it. You can tell he does not know that yet, I don't think. Yeah.
I mean, it's still it's a solid performance. I mean, he only shot 2 down, but he's probably disappointed in those double bogeys that he had 2 double bogeys in the round, 1 bogey, but he had a slew of birdies in there. Mm-hmm. And on a course like this, a lot of opportunities. And you just have to know that everybody's going to be struggling.
Yeah.
It is not an easy course.
That birdie for Dickerson now ties him for the hot round, as he was able to shoot the same as MJ. And so now let's break it down. Everything's pretty much over now. Chris Dickerson, Michael Johansson, Colin Montgomery, Zach Melton, Paul Oman, Philo Brathwaite, Brian Earhart, Matt Dollar. Those are your 8 players who are going to advance into this afternoon's quarterfinal round. And I'm just going to take a quick look over. They are going to be joined by Joel Freeman, Austin Hannum, Reed Frescura, Drew Gibson, Andrew Presnell, Nate Perkins, Jeremy Colling, and Nathan Queen. So it's going to be a fun, that's a good group of players. We got a good group of 16. And just imagine all those names I just read off, 8 of them are going home this afternoon, and they're not even going to get to play on Saturday. So the pressure's ramping up here. It's pretty cool.
We might get a lot of top level caddies out there as the weekend continues. these players, they're so involved in disc golf, and so they're going to want to see how this all finishes out, and everyone's pretty close-knit and tight, making friendships along the way throughout this long disc golf season. So I'm sure we'll still see their faces on the screen, even if they're not playing.
Yeah, one of the things, if you're a casual fan and you didn't watch the Hall of Fame from last weekend, I suggest going back and watching at least the last day, and if not just the playoff. It was incredible to see Adam Hammes and Calvin Heimberg go into this playoff, and how many of the players were out there watching. We got 2 young superstars. We got a whole slew of other top-level players were all out there just watching the playoff. It was really fun to see, and what a show put on by those 2 guys last week.
Yeah. And you got to think that was probably a really great warm-up. Those courses out there at the IDGC, very tight and technical and long par 4s in the woods, a lot of placement shots. So I think the players are probably feeling relatively comfortable. We did have the USDGC right before that, so wide open shots, but still placement shots. These players, their games are zoned in. It's now the end of the season. Things are dialed in. Here's Lisa Fajkus putting for birdie. A difficult stance on the knee. Just an inch off. Lisa's going to maintain that even. And that's what we said. Did we say par is really great? You called 2 over to get in. Paige Bjerkaas is sitting at 1 over. She is above that cut line right now. She's putting for birdie to put her at even.
Do got to apologize to Colton Montgomery. I said it way too quickly. It's not Colin. That's his baby brother. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Colton, but great playing today, buddy. We'll see you this afternoon.
Nice putt there from Paige. Hanging on the right-hand side, kind of flip-flopping on the rim there, but flops back into the basket. That'll put her at even. That'll tie her up with Lisa. Nice putting stroke from Hailey. That was for her par. She's in 5th place right now at 2 over. Now there's a 2-stroke gap for her to advance into that top 4. There we go. Lisa taps in for her par. We're going to head on to hole 14's preview. Again, thank you to Central Coast for these shots. It's a par 3, 360 feet. On paper, it's just a hyzer, but we know how technical it can get with a few of those kind of guardian trees popping up in the middle of the fairway. And the green and the fairway kind of slopes off to the left-hand side. So if you throw it and pop it up a little bit too high, you can get a pretty big kick off to the left-hand side and might end up struggling. We just saw the men play this hole. You are able to save your par, but it's a birdie bogey type of hole. If you don't hit the shot, you should.
Yeah, we saw a couple of the guys get caught up early, and we saw Brian Earhart bogey the hole because he wasn't able to make that up shot. Now, this is slightly shorter for the women. You can see the difference in distance there, and it actually plays a little bit straighter. But also it finishes off to the right as opposed to the left. So with the way the slope is and everything like that.
Yeah, makes it even maybe a little bit more difficult because, you have to end up high on that slope, not allow gravity to pull you down to the left.
Oh, and boy, look at this. There's the men, and there's that Colton Montgomery again. Sorry, Colton, but let's take a look at the ladies too, because one thing, Vanessa Van Dyken has birdied 3 in a row. 3 holes in a row. Vanessa taking things into her own hands at this point. And look at that little bit of a gap, right? So we see the top 4 making it in. Even, 1 under and 3 under. Holly Finley, boy, what a day. She has 3 birdies, no bogeys, playing super solid.
Pretty incredible. And coming down to hole 13, we're almost done with the round, and finally it's breaking up a little bit. We're going to head over to Terry on the course with Chris Dickerson.
Yeah, let's hear from Chris.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Joining me now is Chris Dickerson. Chris, that final bird on the final hole put you to 7 under, ties for the hottest round out here this morning. How did it feel?
It felt good overall. I started out a little rough, so in the middle I was able to get some birdies and get a few more on the back, so overall it felt good.
Describe this course, and maybe as opposed to the courses we just saw in the last few weekends, Hall of Fame or USDGC. It feels like we've had a real mixture over the last few weeks.
This one's the more wooded one over the past few weeks. I would say overall distance, it's a little shorter, so as long as you keep it in the fairway, it plays a little easier. But when you get off the fairway, I think it plays harder than the other two.
Yeah, and when you say a little shorter, we're still talking 9,500 or almost 10,000 feet, so
yes.
To keep that in perspective at home. Now, you're going to grab some lunch, and then what's the game plan after that?
Get back here, maybe throw a few holes, and get warmed up for the next round.
All right, and could I go out on a limb here and guess you're going to have chicken for lunch?
It's a good guess.
It's a good guess. Chris Dickerson with a hot round this morning. He moves on, and we'll catch you guys a little later with our next interview.
That must have been an inside joke. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah,
winner, chicken lunch.
Having chicken tonight, and that was a great shot there by Hailey King. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with you here in just a second.
The Raptor was created for a specific shot, a specific distance, and especially comfort. A lot of thought went into the design of the Raptor. We wanted to make a disc comparable to the Zone that just went a little bit further with that consistency. And with the Raptor, I really feel like we accomplished that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm now joined by Brian Earhart. And Brian, talk a little bit about your round out there this morning.
It started out pretty smooth. The lines felt really simple to me. The holes were not simple, but I guess comfortable in regards to my play style and the shots that I like to throw. So I was kind of cruising for a bit. Didn't really have to make any big putts, and then kind of scared myself on 12, 13, and 14. I took 3 bogeys in a row and made it really hard on myself, but then I threw one of the best flicks. 13, 14, 15, I got the bogeys, and then 16, I threw one of the best sidearms of my life and put it right next to the basket, got the birdie, and kind of coasted after that. So I was able to lay up that last shot.
Well, and that was going to be my next question, is after having a little bit of a struggle and knowing what kind of pressure it is here, you shoot well or you go home, how do you calm yourself down after 3 consecutive bogeys?
You can't. You just have to trust the line that you're throwing and commit 100% to it. And I kind of knew that I needed to get that birdie. Another bogey there, which is pretty easy on that hole, would have pretty much counted me out of it. So it was actually a Raptor, which I used to have trouble forehanding for some reason. I just put 100% commitment into it, and it flew the exact line I wanted to throw. So
Awesome.
It was nice.
Some pretty good vibes on the card. We saw 3 out of the 4. Unfortunately, Eric Oakley's not moving on, but we saw yourself, Philo, and then Chris Dickerson, who we just spoke to. Were you guys vibing off one another at all out there?
I think me and Dickerson were having a good time. Eric was catching some bad breaks initially, and then Philo kind of had a rough last stretch. So it was mainly me and Chris, exchanging some glances, and but not really. All of us are just trying to shoot good enough. Like, this survivalist format is, you don't have to put the pedal to the metal just yet. You just have to shoot solid, and if you can make it to the later days, that's when this one you just have to survive pretty much.
And you've done just that. You're going to go out, grab some lunch. We know Dickerson's eating chicken. That's his thing. What are you going to do?
Maybe something a little healthier than chicken. Try to start my morning routine over again, some simple food, and try to come out and shoot again and not take 3 bogeys in a row.
All right. Well, he's not used to playing early, but he'll be back this afternoon. He moves on to the next round. This is Brian Earhart. All right, guys, we're going to throw it back to you with the booth, and we'll check in with the FPO.
And thank you, Terry, for that little recap. I mean, the way that these players are breaking it down, it's as simple as it should be. I mean, stay in the fairway. You're going to play really solid golf. So great to hear Brian's breakdown of that, throwing the best sidearm of his life, playing with Chris Dickerson, who I think helped him. It's great to play off of a player and that momentum. Chris Dickerson is tied for the hot round of the day. Prodigy player. Shout out to Prodigy, one of our premier sponsors of the Tour Championship. And we're on to hole 15. We still have the women finishing up, 3 holes to go. Par 3, 269 feet. Seems pretty simple right off the bat. Pretty straight up the gut type of shot. Ending up on the hill could bring in some rollaway putts into play, but we'll see how that goes. We still have the 4 players that we've been talking about in those top 4 spots, but let's see if anything happens as we go down the stretch.
Yeah, so this is the so-called gauntlet hole. As I mentioned before, it's so difficult. There's a mandatory on the left. You have to go to the right of that. If you miss it, and there's basically just about a 10-foot wide gap, 10, 12-foot wide gap going down the entire thing. Vanessa Van Dyken, look at that. Lisa Fajkus, she's picking it up here towards the end of the round. And Paige Bjerkaas just kind of hanging in there. You can actually tell that really the way Paige Bjerkaas kind of has been playing, she's trying to shoot par. I think she knows par is going to get her in. Now, I had forecasted 2 over getting in, and we got a couple of players. Missy Gannon, as I mentioned. Now, this is still the ladies. Anything can happen here, and I think we still have a lot to play out here in these last 4 holes.
And Holly Finley,
she's
just finished up on this hole, actually able to capitalize on the birdie too. So Holly's feeling really confident, shooting 3 down from the last 4 holes that she's played.
This is the best round I've seen Holly play, period. That I can remember. I know she probably has, but that I can remember. And so this is a great thing for Holly Finley, and maybe she can make a deep run. Maybe she can get herself into the semifinals, which, well, she's already done that, but through the semifinals into the finals would be pretty cool to see. Oh boy, that's before the Mando tree. And yeah, there's a whole lot that could go on. I'm just trying to react to it. This is how I would do it as a player. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do now? She's got to pitch it back to the middle, and
that's so tough. But talking about Holly, I think she'd be incredibly ecstatic if she could shoot another 4 down, make it to the finals, shoot another 4 down. I think that would win it right there. I mean, 4 down is such solid play.
We have to remember, we haven't seen our most premier players yet shoot this course, so we don't know what they're going to shoot. Oh, Hailey's got that on a beautiful line. That's going to be a birdie opportunity for her. But we haven't seen it. But 4 under, if she's able to finish maybe a 5 under. I mean, I think you're right though, because it's not. We watch a lot of these ladies play. 4 or 5 under is a great round for anybody.
It's really great. And Holly, she's playing just so steady. And that's her gameplay when you're playing in the woods like this. Maybe our top players, they are just a little bit more aggressive. That's why they get more birdies and less bogeys a lot of the time. But in the woods, it's a different game plan. So Holly Finley is shooting really well so far. We know we've got a little bit of trouble out of Lisa. Let's throw it to a commercial break. We'll catch up with these players as we see them set up their next shots.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway. By accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
What do you think flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple one. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is a sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
That's great.
And we were able to catch up with Lisa, who actually took it from the drop zone. So we know that she hit off early from that Mando tree, but she'll be putting for a bogey from that second throw. Add on another penalty there. But that's going to be trouble for Lisa. I mean, if she doesn't get that bogey putt in, she's going to risk a double bogey drop in. Now she's riding the cusp.
Yeah, she would be tied at that point with Paige, who's going to just pitch up there for par. So, yeah, you're right. And this is what I'm talking about. I just think we got 3.5 holes left. I think there's still a ton of action that's going to happen here. So don't go anywhere, folks. There's nothing guaranteed. We've heard from our men's players. We know who's in their quarterfinals. This is our ladies' quarterfinal. Only 4 advancing out of 12 women playing.
Wow, we can see where Lisa's shot ended up. This is a big putt. Not able to hit it. That would be a drop in double bogey for Lisa. That will put her score at a +1.
That's Hailey for birdie. And, that's Hailey now at +1. So all of a sudden, bam, 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 we got a bunch of players lining up, tied for that 4th position.
Yeah, that puts 3 players tied in that 4th position. Paige Bjerkaas.
And that's going to leave Lisa Fajkus, though, still. So I want everybody at home to remember this. And if you haven't gone out and looked at the brackets yourself, I'll give you a little breakdown here. Of those 3 players, Lisa Fajkus is in the 6th seed. Paige Bjerkaas is the 7th seed, and Hailey King is the 8th seed. So if they all tied of that, they would go into that position, and Lisa would get that spot. So again, Lisa being in the 6th position is going to help her big time. Unfortunately, Jessica's a little bit too far back at this point. So we'll see. It's a lot coming down here. Let's take a look at 16, Val. What do we got?
Hole 16. It's a par 3, 357 feet. Working our way uphill, cresting over the hill, and now it's going to finish off to the left-hand side. Wow. Tucked around to the left-hand side pretty severely. I think the play here is to throw nice, straight, slow flying disc, trying to place yourself into the middle of the fairway. Call it a par 3. You can be aggressive, but I think just placing your shot is probably the best chance. There's a lot of opportunities to kick off the fairway and into the shul.
Well, and you heard Brian Earhart say through the sidearm of his life on this hole. So obviously it plays well for a backhand, right-handed backhand hyzer shot, which is what a lefty sidearm is. And so that's definitely a shot. Our course map shows 2 routes. Whenever I see 2 routes on a map, I always know that there's one that everybody takes. Nobody's taking that other one because it's not worn in. And so there we go. But we do want to throw a shout out to Westside Discs, who is one of the premier partners of the Tour Championships. Thank you, Westside.
And it's the west side route we're talking about, right?
Sure.
Left hand.
Oh, and look at that. Hailey King has put it right down near the basket. Johnny, wake up. We gotta get to that. And that you see her disc right there in the sunlight, and she has parked it for birdie. So
that was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, Hailey, what an incredible shot. And this goes downhill really, really severely. And Jessica's plus our cameraman is up above them.
And thanks to Paige for kind of giving the camera a little shot there. Paige is going for that placement shot again. Slower flying disc. She's got a putter in her hand.
Ooh, took a little branch hit. She's still going to end up right in the middle. But Hailey King is down there for birdie. And again, it's all coming down to Fajkus, Bjerkaas, and King for 2 spots.
That was so clutch for Hailey.
Yeah.
So clutch at this time.
3 people, 2 spots. That's what we got going on.
And that was one nice drive out of Lisa, but we'll see how she finishes up. But first, a quick commercial break.
Passion is more than fiery emotion. It feeds the spark to start your day. It fuels your obsessions. It inspires your dreams. Passion challenges your fears, and it repeatedly bathes you in sweat until you are transformed into a new, better you. Disc golf isn't just your passion, it's ours too.
And we are back, and I'd like to give a thank you to Latitude 64 for being a premier sponsor of the Tour Championship. A lot of action going on, and we are just in the first round today. Lisa Fajkus having a little bit of trouble in these last few holes. She looked so solid in the beginning in the front 9 of this course, and now when the pressure is really put on and it's time for her to shine, adding up the strokes toward the end. That was her second shot.
Yeah, we would call it in the biz, right? A little yo-yoing for Lisa. She was, playing well, then she bogeyed, then she birdied, so she's kind of yo-yoing a little bit there. But at the end of the day, who cares? I mean, she's still in position at this point to still make it into the semifinals. She just has to finish strong. As I said, at this point, it's coming down. I'm going to put Missy Gannon in there. If Missy Gannon can pick up a birdie here, she could be in there. So it's 4 players playing for 2 spots at this point. Because we have Van Dyken and Finley pretty much solidified, both with under par rounds. Okay upshot there for Bjerkaas. I saw Grady Shue actually coming in, and Grady and Paige. And Grady is now caddying for Paige, and they are the people getting married next weekend. So Grady actually finished in the very bottom of the men's round this morning. He did not play well. So obviously the wedding weighing a little bit harder on him then Paige.
Are you thinking about a little too much about his vows?
Yeah, he needs to get those written. Don't wait. Don't wait, man.
But he could be spending the rest of the weekend caddying for Paige if she's able to get one of these last spots that are available. And she's sitting +1. Lisa, this is her. She'll be throwing 3.
Just a chip there, huh, Val?
So that'll be a drop in bogey for Lisa, putting her at 2 over. And Hailey, she's in such a great position right there. I mean, that is a birdie putt.
Oh, it's parked. I mean, if she misses that, then it's a huge mistake. So she's going to bump herself up to even. Bjerkaas is going to stay the same. Oh, and Weese is going to take another bogey here, and it's unfortunate. But now we have Bjerkaas for par. Does Bjerkaas to stay at 1 over par and still be in that 4th position? Able to sneak it in the top left corner. There's 1 over, 4th place in this quarterfinal round with just 2 holes to play. Hailey gets the birdie. What an incredible birdie for her at a perfect time. And that's a real yo-yo right there. Birdies, birdies, bogeys, bogeys, and now finishing birdies. But finishing strong is the key.
That was beautiful. That'll put Hailey at even par. It's going to be a little flip-flopping here in these final few holes. So, I mean, it's still nobody's game. We know that Holly Finley and Vanessa Van Dyken are solidly in their positions, but 2 holes left. Here's hole 17, par 4, 545 feet. That's a mouthful. Starts off with a straight, long, technical shot. Finishes off with a dogleg off to the left. And look at all those bumps and mounds and elevation here and there.
Moguls. Yeah, those are moguls. Right?
I did feel like I was skiing my way down to the basket. But this is a really difficult par 4 to finish up on.
Classic Hornet's Nest type hole. Obviously, you see the 90-degree bend, and then with the addition of the moguls in the fairway, just making the visual so much more difficult, right, Val? I mean, when you're down below, you see all those moguls and the pin's elevated on a big rock, it just makes the visual so much more difficult.
Absolutely. And you're forced to throw it higher. And the higher that you throw it, the higher you're going to hit on a tree, which means the farther you could be flying off course. And so, as we heard from Chris Dickerson, you don't want to be off the fairway.
Yeah. On that, thinking about what Dickerson and Earhart said, the biggest thing I took out of those interviews was what Earhart said. These early rounds are about survival, right? So all of today is just about getting through. It's about being in the top 8 out of 16. So you got to be in the top 50%. Now come tomorrow, you got to go out and blast it. You're going to have to be in the top 25%. There's no holding back. And really a couple of bogeys or double bogeys is just going to take you right out of it.
And here's how the shakedown went on that last hole. Hailey's now in 3rd place, sitting at even par. Paige Bjerkaas is now on that cusp in that 4th position at 1 over. Lisa, with those struggles on the 2 previous holes, tied for 5th place at +2. Also with Missy Gannon, who's a name we keep mentioning. They're right there. Missy. It says she's on hole 16, but we know she is making her way down the fairway here on 17.
Yep. They are actually in this fairway of 17, and there's some struggling going on. I think I'm still going to stick with my statement that 2 over, would get in. I still think there's a very real possibility. This 17th hole is very, very difficult. We saw just a few minutes ago Philo take a double bogey. And then you figure you've also got the gauntlet hole. that just took out Lisa Fajkus a couple of holes back on 15. So, the finish to this thing, 18's not that difficult. 18's pretty much wide open, but the 17th hole is super tough.
And if you were all confused like I just was, that was Holly's shot. Look how perfectly she placed herself on the short tee pad of this hole 17. I mean, you're in a good position when you're on a tee pad.
Absolutely.
You're going to at least have a route to the basket. So that was confusing for myself. So I'm sure some people are confused at home, but that was Holly throwing from her shot.
Yeah, and all the Charlotte locals are going, no, that's 17 short, the old 17. So no confusion from the locals out in Charlotte. And speaking of Charlotte, North Carolina, we're going to go ahead and give another big shout out to a whole group of volunteers.
So I want to thank Brian, Tim, Chase Overcash, Chris Brown, Chris Hallberg, Chris Langham, Brendan Bryant, and Chris Miller. Thank you for volunteering your time and getting the course into this just premier elite condition.
Yeah.
We are at Hornets Nest Park, one of the most challenging courses that you'll find. And there's Double G hanging out, giving some support to Jessica Weese here as he sits back and tries to dial in his own lines.
Yeah, and Double G doesn't even have to play till tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock, you're going to see that guy right there teeing off. That will be our featured card tomorrow. So it's interesting to already know who our featured card is going to be tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We have a whole nother round to go. We also know who's going to be our featured card at 3 o'clock today. We have Joel Freeman, Austin Hannum, Reed Frescura, and Drew Gibson. They're going to be our featured card here in really not too long. About an hour and 45 minutes from now, we're going to see that featured card. So again, we're going to take a quick break after these ladies are done. We'll be right back to it. There's no rest when it comes to the Tour Championship. It's a battle.
I swear to God, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. That's stupid. You see my son too, buddy? That's unusual. But I haven't done it in a while. That's like mine. I'm like, I know that one it's not a yeah, the only one I missed was the second one.
What can you like? What do you think you get to that? Like straight gas? Where they get to that? You left that through the dot on.
I can't.
Nothing.
No.
What about your blue pro? Not confident with those.
Not in the woods.
What that is that she definitely would be up.
You got to judge.
Yeah. Judge. Okay.
Play up to that spot.
Probably either Canvas or Dickerson. Yeah. Probably Dickerson.
So we hear that they are going to go with the judge, but also Grady, get used to that, man. That's how conversations go once you're married. There's things you want to do, and she's like, "No, that's not happening, dude."
Just go for it. No, it will be judge.
At least he's got some good confidence in her.
Yeah.
I mean, he really thinks that she should take that slightly more aggressive route. But, yeah, we got a little cell phone corner going on here on hole 17. Everybody checking their phones. Jessica probably at that point just realizing it's pretty much over. And Double G saying, yeah, it's never too late, Jessica. And I think that is the right statement by G. I mean, of course, it's never too late. But we know, we look at it 5 over, it almost is too late. Obviously, anything can happen. But I think there's too many people in between her and that next position.
Said cell phone corner, maybe couples corner.
Yeah, right.
That was nice to catch up with the players, and might have been a little iced.
Yeah, Hailey
for
with
Hailey's
a really
arm.
bad tee shot there.
As you said, this is a very tight fairway the entire way. Didn't seem that Hailey kicked too far, but we'll have to find out. We know this is a judge for Paige Bjerkaas, a little bit offline, but we know it's not going to go too far. And again, Lisa Fajkus with a driver. Paige Bjerkaas goes for the safe shot. Lisa's going to disc up. It's a risky shot.
She's changing again.
Still a driver.
Yep.
And I guess it's a fairway driver, so a little bit slower, but still you're risking that skip and that sharp finish off to the left.
Oh, perfect. That was perfect. She's in the middle. She's almost to that corner, but she's going to be able to pitch it just up and around. If Lisa's listening, Lisa, par is going to be great on this hole for you. I think it's going to move you into possible position.
That was a good shot from Jessica. Thanks to everybody that's been watching. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with these players in a minute.
My name is Thomas Ekström. I'm the disc designer for Latitude 64. This is the keystone. I wanted to design a disc that had minimum fade when putting. I wanted it to be slightly understable for those nose up approach shots. I'm super proud of the keystone. It went straight into my own bag, and you should try it as well.
And we're back to see Hailey's second shot. I was a little worried there as I saw that angle with that Anheuser, but able to throw that really nice S shot, placing herself really nicely for that third shot, but still a lot of fairway still to go.
Yeah, it looked as if she got to basically just where Lisa put her tee shot. And so there's a lot to go on there still. I think Grady's shoes said it all. The holes aren't as long, but if you get off on the woods, it's a lot more difficult than what they've been playing even last weekend. So yeah, it's off the fairway here is difficult, very, very difficult.
And even those placement shots, you have to be so confident that you're gonna land in the middle and it's gonna set you up for the next shot. So a lot of these wooded courses, the fairways are just a little bit more wide and it's a little bit more forgiving, but I do not feel like the fairways out here are forgiving at all. But Paige is setting herself up in a nice position. I like this right hand side. We know that the fairway finishes off to the left. We know that Paige originally wanted to go judge.
Yep. She's just playing for par. I mean, that's a chip. I mean, she's left herself so far back still. I mean, this is a difficult position for me to even try to commentate this because she's a little bit further back now. I mean, I think she needed to be more aggressive. I mean, she's just barely to where Fajkus is at this point. And all this is going to come down to a stroke or two, and that's tough. But we'll see. You know, she obviously is a world champion. She's got a game plan. So see if she's able to execute from this point going forward.
And when we were talking about this course on the days leading up to this event, I remember playing this course, and some of these holes just kind of set up for that opposite play. You're throwing your putter or mid-range off the tee pad, but then as you finish the hole, you need that extra distance, so you're coming out with a driver. So we saw Paige throwing 2 judge shots to start off, but could end up pulling out a driver to get herself up to the basket to allow for that putt. So different kind of strategy. And while we're mentioning the discs, we should also give a shout out to Dynamic Discs for their premier sponsorship of the Tour Championship this weekend.
And here's Hailey. Now Hailey's lying 2, and so she's throwing her 3rd shot here. And every one of these shots is so important. She's yanked it to the right and kicked even further to the right. So Hailey King is now in a very difficult position. It's going to be hard for her to even get a bogey at this point. So, as I said, if you're Lisa Fajkus right now, do not think about being too aggressive. In the middle of those moguls is all you need. Not even all the way through them. Just keep it in the middle of the fairway, get yourself a par, and I think you're going to be looking really, really good at this point. Missy Gannon has bogeyed this hole up ahead, so she's now at 3 over par. Missy Gannon only has 4 pars on the round. And here's Lisa. She's done exactly what she needed to do midway through the moguls. She's going to have what I would consider just a pitch up. I think she should just lay it up and go for that par.
Par is going to be great on this hole.
And I think even great in the scenario of trying to make it into those top 4 because of the situation that we're seeing come up right now. And we're going to actually take a look at what Vanessa Van Dyken has just done. Vanessa has double bogeyed this hole up ahead, but she's at 1 over par and she's through hole number 17. So, she still has 18 to play, but she's gotten through this hole. And now this is the 3rd shot for Paige. Okay, and Paige has got it up there, just short of pin height. It's going to be a difficult putt, especially with that elevation there. So that's going to be for par for her. And it's, again, the women are all just, this is just crazy. This is like the funnest thing to watch, probably.
This is crazy. And I don't know if I could have guessed how exciting these last few holes would be, but I was saying Holly Finley was just feeling so solid in that first place position. I thought Vanessa Van Dyken, she'd be a shoo-in. We got an update, and Vanessa actually
she
triple bogeyed. Yes, yeah. It ended up being a 7 there on hole 18 after a little bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, and JV, if you want to pull up these scores for us, it'd be great to just take a look at kind of what the scenario is for the top 4. And there we go. Thank you, Johnny. But there it is, Holly Finley. She did take that double bogey there, so she's at 1 under. Hailey King is at even. Of course, Hailey King is still in the woods now after 3 shots, so she's going to be taking a number. Paige Bjerkaas has got a long par putt, and lo and behold, who's the one that's in the advantage right now? Lisa Fajkus, because she's only 2 shots. She's only 20 or about 40 feet from the basket. And Lisa could easily walk away being 2 over here and a bunch of other big scores. So
there's so much going on.
This is what
Holy
we anticipated.
Cow. Yeah.
I mean, we knew this was going to happen. This is just how it is, especially with 17. With 17 is that very difficult hole, isn't it?
Wow. And it's just making and breaking players just like that. Holly Finley had such a clean round this entire way. Bogey 16, double bogey 17. And so that amazing 4 down round that she was sitting at has now come to she's just 1 under.
Yeah. And unless Hailey King is able to make that putt, she's going to take at best a double bogey, which will put her at 2 over. Paige Bjerkaas is most likely going to end up bogeying this hole, which will put her at 2 over. So we're going to have, if I count this right and everything lays out the way I think is going to happen, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 players at 2 over vying for 3 spots. And in that case, who would get left out? It would be Vanessa Van Dyken because she's the 9th seed. And that would put her out. And there's the quick pitch from Hailey. That's going to be for double bogey. This should be Lisa just pitching. Ooh, that's not a great pitch. She's left herself what looks like a straddle.
Straddle on an elevated basket. That's always difficult when you know the other players in your group are struggling and it's a long time until you have to throw your shot, and an easy shot like that could just be taken a little bit for granted. Lisa just needed to nestle that up next to the rock and just give herself a little bit of a drop in. Now it's become a little tester.
Yeah, and there's just so much going on because it just the hole ahead. Missy Gannon is got a long birdie look on 18 to go to 2 over, so she could bring herself back into the fold. Vanessa's in the fairway, and so the best that it looks like Vanessa can do is par, so she's going to end up 2 over. So that putt by Lisa is going to be huge. Oh, and Jessica giving it a solid run. But this putt from Fajkus is huge. This is to keep her at 2 over. This is essentially the tournament for her.
Mine. You can tell she's thinking a little bit about this. There could be a distraction or 2 in the distance. So she knows how important this putt is and each and every stroke is in this round today.
Able to get it up and in on the left side. You saw her reaction there, Val. She obviously knows how important that is. I don't know if she knows. Well, they did. Everybody was checking their phones on the last hole, so I think they all kind of know the scenario. This is King for double bogey. That's going to move her to 2 over. And then we'll see Bjerkaas come in here in just a second for her tap in for bogey. So we're going to end up, as I said, with those 4 players at 2 over par vying for 3 spots. Vanessa is putting for par up on the 18th. So if Vanessa's able to get into the clubhouse with a par, and she'll be at 2 over. If any one of our 3 players in this group bogey, they're out.
Here we are on hole 18, par 3, 400 feet. And after just playing hole 17, this seems like a breeze. Wide open. There's not a lot of trouble. It's just about judging the distance. And if you're lucky, you might get that birdie.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a real bird? That's a great placement shot there, but great camera work. Again, thank you to Central Coast for allowing us to see these flybys of these holes.
Pretty bird. It's a birdie. But yeah, 400 feet. It's actually slightly downhill. So it's you can get it pretty far down there. There's no real worries here. Keep it out in the open. You're fine.
But it is a crush.
It is.
400 feet is a distance shot. So now you're pulling out your distance driver for the FPO division, and you're having to control it, allowing yourself to get close enough to get that birdie putt.
Well, let's break down the reality of the situation. If Fajkus, Bjerkaas, and King all par, they're in. They don't even need to worry about the birdie at this point. And this is again what makes this so interesting. If this was the first round and Weese is at 6 over and these guys are at 2, and there's other people in other groups doing something better, we're not even thinking about it. But right now, all 3 of these players Bjerkaas, Fajkus, and King. They just need pars, and they're in the semis.
Seems to be very calm as we see the Discraft Flanner. Basically just still as can be. And thank you again to Discraft for being a premier sponsor of the Tour Championships this weekend. And let's hope these players know that is what is on the line. No need to force it.
They have to know at this point. That's a beautiful drive. That's going to be an easy par for her. What a day. What a day. I mean, just the pressure. Ooh, and Jessica's got it up and high. It looks like it's straightening out a little bit. She's going to have a decent shot there. Outside look at a long jump putt birdie. But what a day for these players. All the yo-yoing. I mean, I'm just looking at Hailey King's card. I mean, she's only got 5 pars on her card total. And it looks like she's going to potentially make it in as well, even with the injury. So, she snapped it over, though. Okay, here we go. Here we go. You know who's caring the most about this? Vanessa Van Dyken. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Val, we are back, and we just see Lisa Fajkus not making a great upshot. Of course, that's something she should make. That's only about 12 feet out, but it's not the park job that you want. So she's going to have 12 feet left for her par. And the simple fact, she makes it, she's in. If Bjerkaas is pitching up and she makes it, she's in. I think the one question mark is, where is Hailey King? And is Hailey King going to have an easy out? And if she's able to at least get it out, is she able to make the putt? If she does not par, she is not in. If she bogeys, Vanessa Van Dyken will make it in.
And that's really the only shifting that can still happen here on this final hole. But look at the shot.
Yeah,
does she have her eye on a window?
Yeah, definitely. And Hailey's such a quick player. I think she's just going to eye up a gap. But this is such a huge shot for making it into those semifinals. Boy, what a tough position. Here it comes. Oh, and what a shot for Hailey King. She has done what she's needed to do. She just has that 10-foot putt. And if she makes it, she's in. We'll see Bjerkaas just pitch it up and lay it up, which is what she's going to do. And that's a tap in. So Bjerkaas is in. And now it's just a simple fact of the matter of these
Mac
players.
to the fatter.
Yeah, Mac to the fatter, putting these in. And they will walk into the semifinals. There's no guarantees until it's in those baskets.
Almost unbelievable. She did not even think that was in, but Lisa Fajkus able to tap
what a
in the par.
reaction. Oh my God.
That will put Lisa into the semifinals to join Holly Finley. And there we go, Hailey King. Beautiful survival shot there. That's exactly what she needed. Drops in her par.
Unfortunately for Jessica, that is the end of her tour championship. And there's Bjerkaas able to get in as well, Val. Whew. Wow. Oh my goodness. These ladies are going to give me a heart attack.
That was awesome.
That was exciting. And I think that's what, ultimately what we want
Exactly.
in this type of scenario. Unfortunately for Vanessa, due to points, she will not be into the semifinals, but there's the four. Holly Finley, Lisa Fajkus, Paige Bjerkaas, Hailey King. And they're going to be joined tomorrow with Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, Sarah Hokum, and Rebecca Cox, who will be our featured card at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, East Coast.
East Coast, yep, exactly. And we will be following them live tomorrow morning. But first, we have our second round for some of these men. It will be the men's quarterfinals at 3 o'clock Eastern. Who do we have that just made it in?
Well, we'll get right back to that here in just a second, but we're going to go out to the course with Madison and check out Holly Finley. And we just see Madison fixing Holly's hair. But take it away, Madison. It's all you.
We're here with the quarterfinal leader, Holly Finley. She will be moving into the semifinals tomorrow, along with 3 other FPO competitors. This is a tightly wooded course. I know you love the woods more than anybody. How do you feel about how today went?
I felt pretty good. I was bogey-free on the front half and had a couple of hang-ups on the back. 17 stole my lunch money. I got a 6, but, I think I might have still finished under par, so I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, you strung some birdies there on the back 9 as well, but mostly a lot of pars. Was this your safe game plan, or were you playing aggressively the whole time?
I actually was trying to birdie all the long par 4s. I had a putt for 3s. They were like 40, 45, so I was hoping to capture those, but, par doesn't hurt out here, so.
Definitely not. I know a lot of the ladies struggled out there, a lot of bogeys. This is a long course. It's the end of the season. Do you feel going into tomorrow, or going into the finals round, do you feel like you have a little bit of a leg up because you have a little bit of extra competitive experience out on this course, whereas the top 4 ladies do not?
I would say yes, I do. I love the woods. I'm really confident with all my shot shaping, and my putts are feeling really good here at the end of the season. So, yeah, I got 100% confidence going into tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you, Holly, for hanging out with us, and congratulations on your bid to the semis. Good luck.
Thank you.
That's a pretty incredible thing to say. 100% confidence going into that. And it's great to hear. Holly Finley was on such a roll throughout the round. She was about heading into the final 9 holes at 4 under.
Well, last 2 holes.
Last 2 holes. Yeah, she was shredding the course, and clearly wooded courses are her favorite to play. So it's awesome to see. So we will see Holly playing tomorrow's round. So now the women have a break for the rest of the day. We'll see them again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We will catch up with them in their semifinals round. But again, as I was mentioning, we do have the men's quarterfinals this afternoon at 3 p.m. What are we in for, Nate?
Yeah, well, we're in for bringing in the 8 guys that we talked about today, coming in, or this morning coming in to add to a whole list of players that I had already mentioned before. Names like Joel Freeman, Drew Gibson, who won the Portland Open, although I don't think this course lays out great for him. We'll see how he can play. Jeremy Colling is one that I keep an eye out for as well, because Jeremy is from Charlotte. I don't know how often he comes out to play this course specifically, but he's going to be familiar with it, along with MJ, who's very familiar with it, Chris Dickerson, who played incredible this morning and is last year's tour champion, and a few other names, Nate Perkins in there, Nathan Queen, a couple other guys. Not that I'm not mentioning everybody, but of course, in just an hour and a half, we're going to see them all play. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to take a short break, I guess. hour 15, hour and 20, and I guess we'll catch everybody back here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be here. Nate will be here.
Yeah.
Want to thank all of the Disc Golf Pro Tour cameramen and staff allowing us to bring you the live coverage. We hope that you've enjoyed the first round here at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. This is what it all comes down to. This is what the players have been playing for. So thank you guys for watching. We'll be back at 3 p.m. So find us right here, same place, 3 o'clock. See you soon.